Craig, thank you very much. We'll head back to the MKM Stadium. 10 minutes to go until kickoff between Hull City and Sheffield United, and rejoin Mike McCarthy, who's alongside Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. And let's look ahead to this game, I think. We're not long to go. And there are so many players, Courtney, for us to highlight. I think most of them, for me, sit within that Sheffield United team. We could go through quite a few, but there is that player that we've heard about just there from Lee Phelps, Oliver Arblaster, has just been run out in the under-20s with England, but everyone expecting him to have a very big future. In fact, delighted that he's still at Sheffield United, because he showed quite a bit in the Premier League in terms of what the future might be, and he started the season like a house on fire as well. What kind of talent do you think we've got on our hands here?
Oh, he's a wonderful talent, and at that young age as well. For me, it's obviously that the football is the main thing that you look at, but he's a boyhood Blades fan, and he's relishing, you can tell, every minute of it, and being the captain, having that armband on, that leadership quality at such a young age is what has impressed me more than anything. And you're right, he was probably one of the only positive things that came out of the Sheffield United season last season, but for him stepping up into the Championship, I think it's, you look at in terms of stats in the team ranks, he's got the most goals, most chances created, possession won, I think, is second, the passes in the opposition box, and successful passes is first. So yeah, it shows you the quality that he has on the ball, but obviously off the ball, and the work rate, as you'd expect, as was mentioned earlier, that it's been renewed for Blades, and has been made sure that is the first. It always has to be the first, whether it was the men's first team, the first team for the women's when I played, in every age group underneath that was always the main thing about the work ethic. But then he obviously, as we mentioned, he's got the talent, he's got the other side of it, and he has got a bright future.
Let's talk about creativity. You mentioned Ollie Arblaster leading the way in terms of the stats, but you've got Gustavo Harmer out there, you've got Jesrun Raksaki, you've got Callum O'Hare, all trying to feed the big man up top, Kiefer Moore. Over the course of the campaign, this should be a fun Sheffield United team to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's what struck me when I watched the Watford game at Bramall Lane. It was fun, it was exciting, it was the sort of play that gets you off your seat, and I've always loved watching Callum O'Hare as well. Watched obviously a lot of him at Coventry, and he's a fantastic player, and he gets on the ball, and it is magic, the way that the ball almost sticks to his foot and he makes things happen. You mentioned Raksaki as well, electric on the wings, and I think I mentioned him earlier as well, and I know he's a defensive player, but again, Harrison Burrows, he will add to that attack as well. And I think against Watford, the only negative I would say is it could have quite easily been 4-0 and probably should have been at least 2. So to see the brilliant defensive display, the work rate, having to put your body on the line, that was good, but in a way we didn't need to see that. They should have been home and dry long before then. So yeah, the only sort of reservation from that performance for me was it should have been dead and buried long before it was.
Kiefer Moore, at the top of all of that, has received some praise from Chris Wilder in the pre-match press conference. The 6'5" Wales frontman's been called a great team player, but Wilder also decided to remind us that there is still plenty of room for target men in elite football. For me, Kiefer Moore should be a cheat code in the Championship. Set pieces in both boxes, he's fantastic at. But also, for a man of his stature, great movement, great finishing ability as well. He should be up there in terms of the league's best over the course of the campaign.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then you go back to what we've said in terms of the players that are around him. He's going to have the service. There's no doubt about that. The service will come into him. Against Watford, he missed that penalty, but actually his all-around performance I thought was really good. The way that he linked play, he just didn't put the ball in the back of the net, and sometimes as a centre forward that happens. But agreed in terms of he works very, very hard for the team. But the thing is, as a striker, you are always judged on goals. But if he gets the service, he will score them. And as you say, for his stature, you always automatically think what a threat he is from set pieces. But his movement to be in the right place at the right time is something that's always impressed me with Kiefer Moore, and he's just got to keep doing that, keep doing the basics. He'll have been working hard as well on the training ground, just to it's the simple one, just putting the ball in the back of the net, repetition, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on the score sheet tonight.
What are you expecting then from Hull City this evening? The stat that was mentioned a little bit earlier on, only 2 players in the Championship this season have carried the ball more than a kilometre. Both Hull City defenders in Louis Coyle and Alfie Jones. It's a really interesting one. Is this about a difficulty in attacking and actually their defenders being left with the ball far too much? Or is this about the endeavour of Tim Volter to build up on either flank?
No, I think that's about him and his style of play, and I've been reading up in terms of the way that he likes to play, and he wants his defensive players to be ball carriers, to progress with it, into the attacking half. It's just, unfortunately, I think that second phase for Hull hasn't quite worked yet. So in terms of the ball being carried, getting into that attacking half, we're seeing that. We're seeing it in the stats loud and clear. But then, in terms of the overall play in the attacking half in that final third hasn't quite worked, and that's what we need to see from Hull tonight.
We need a big performance from them in front of their own fans as well as the two teams come out onto the pitch. What do you expect Hull City to do in this first half? Do they take the game to Sheffield United? Do they try and get this crowd right behind them on their side to show them they're giving everything for the first win of the season? Or do you expect Sheffield United to maybe control the running here in the opening 45 minutes?
I mean, it's difficult because there's no doubt in my mind that Sheffield United come into this, obviously the better team in terms of the table and with a lot more confidence. But this is where Hull City need to change their fortunes. They're the ones at home, so they need to put it on Sheffield United. They need to surprise them. They need to galvanise all the fans that are on their feet around me at the moment to get behind them early doors and try and cause an upset. I was doing the Harrogate-Doncaster game yesterday, and obviously that was an upset, so it can happen. We know in the EFL it happens, but it's going to be a hard task for Hull tonight.
It's the start of a very busy weekend here of EFL football. We start tonight at the MKM Stadium. Tomorrow lunchtime, Leeds taking on Burnley, live and exclusive here on Talksport 2. On Sunday, Portsmouth versus West Brom, 3 o'clock kickoff, also in the Championship. And we end with League One, a huge fixture on Monday night as Birmingham City take on Wrexham. Here tonight, though, we begin with an evening where the blade has been sharpened by Sheffield United for victory. Will it be a horror for Hull on Friday the 13th? It's live and exclusive to national radio on your home of the English Football League, Talksport 2. Your commentary team, former Sheffield United women's forward Courtney Sweetman-Kirk and Talksport's Mike McCarthy.
Hugh, thanks very much indeed. A very good evening from the MKM Stadium. Hull City fans thought they'd be getting heart-attack football. So far, there's not really been enough to get the pulse quickened here or on the road. There's been a huge squad overhaul. Tim Volter will need a bit of time perhaps to get everything settled, but with 16 incomings, he can hardly say he hasn't been backed. He says it's the new start after the international break. 10% of the season, though, already behind us. Chris Wilder has had to take a Sheffield United squad through a major revamp as well, but they've found their feet much quicker. Still things for the Blades to improve on, but they've got themselves a very solid platform to build on. That is reflected in the team sheets as well. 2 debuts in the Hull side, including 3 changes. Mohamed Baloumi and Abu Kamara will provide wit. Finley Burns, the Man City loanee, coming into anchor midfield. Hull a 4-2-3-1, Parler keeping his place in goal. Coyle, Jones, McLaughlin, Giles at the back. Burns and Malem in the middle, Kamara, Omer and Baloumi behind, Bedia up front. As for Sheffield United, who go into a huddle towards the away end in the corner of the penalty area on the far side to our left. The lineup pretty similar and indeed familiar, unchanged from the 1-0 win over Watford 12 days ago. Cooper in goal, a back 4 of Gilchrist, Suter, Agman-Hodzic, Burrows, with Sousa and Arblaster holding in the middle. Raksaki, O'Hare and Harmer, the 3 behind Kiefer Moore, with a goal for Wales in the international break up front. Hull have got Rakiopi, Miller, Simons, Drame, Zambrano, Slater, Jacob, Palmer and Burstow on the bench. Sheffield United can call upon Davis, McCallum, Brewster, Shackleton, Campbell, Norrington Davis, Brooks, Sariki and Peck. Our referee is Peter Banks. He is satisfied that we can get underway, and it's Hull City in possession in their yellow and black stripes, black shorts and black socks. Sheffield United all in cream this evening. Think the Spice Boys in the FA Cup as Harry Suter with a strong header, immediately announcing his presence to the game and welcoming Abu Kamara to Hull City this evening as well. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Yeah, and we said that Hull City need to be the ones that get off to a good start, but that's exactly what you want as a player. You see Harry Suter there as a defender. First big challenge, make sure you win it, win the battle, and Blades are on the attack already. Yeah,
O'Hare sending it forward for Harmer, who just couldn't get there ahead of the goalkeeper Panda, who was off his line quickly. And he clears long into midfield and out of play on the Sheffield United right, where it's going to be Alfie Gilchrist to pick it up, the Chelsea loanee. Back to Harry Suter, who's been travelling around the world this week with Australia, Indonesia. I think they were playing. He does this time and again, and Chris Wilder says he's used to it, but that is a lot of air miles that he clocks up with his country.
Yeah, it certainly is. As you say, though, we must be used to it. I remember not so much coming back, but flying out to Australia. The jet lag I had for a few days was horrendous. I definitely wouldn't have been able to step on a football pitch.
Well, he must have a strategy. It's Hull City with a bit of early possession down their left flank. And it's Giles who can carry it forward. He's got space to run into, nearly level with the penalty area. In comes the cross, deflected, and then headed behind for a Hull City corner.
I think Gilchrist has got to do better there. Doesn't go and engage the ball quickly enough for my liking.
Well, encouragement for the Hull City fans who have come out in their numbers this evening. Not quite a sellout, but pretty full at the MKM as the corner taken short to Malem, who goes back into the inside left channel. And now it's set back with Irma, who helps it on the left-hand side. Low ball into the middle. Cut out, though, by Sheffield United and cleared to the halfway line. It's going to be interesting to see how Hull City approach this. It's, Tim Volter talking after the Leeds game of wanting to see more courage from his side, wanting them to take things on quicker, move the ball forward quicker. Of course, we saw under Liam Rossini, they were much more conservative. How quickly can you shake that out of a system of a team that's so used to doing one thing and then another?
I think in one way it's difficult, but actually then you look at the departures they've had. So a lot of those players have gone, which should, in theory, make the manager's life a little bit easier. But in general, to get a philosophy into a team, to play in a certain way, it takes time, and it's a commodity that not a lot of managers get. But I think in terms of this phase, playing out from the back, nothing's really changed. It's the movement, it's the rotation in front that the players really need to get better at. And it is the braveness. See, they're playing out from the back, but they're being high pressed by Sheffield United and they're struggling to get out.
Raksaki with the block, out of play for a Hull City throw, 5 yards from the corner flag on the Hull left-hand side. 3 minutes played, Hull 0, Sheffield United 0. We're live on Talksport 2. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk and Mike McCarthy with you this evening. As Giles loses control of the ball in a very sloppy fashion, and it's a very cheap throw-in. 5 yards from the corner flag, which Gilchrist actually takes about 10 yards further back to give himself a better angle for the Sheffield United attack that is incoming. Raksaki goes back into his defence, and Harry Suter working it into the centre circle. Anel Akmekhodzic with his first touch of the evening. And now it's going to be drifted in by Burrows. Headed clear, but only as far as Arblaster. Sheffield United still in possession in a dangerous area here. Arblaster trying to get towards the byline from the ball, cuts it back. But it's only into a yellow and black shirt, and Irma now can release things for Hull City. But again, they've tried to play it out from the back and been caught, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Yeah, and this is the thing about playing out from the back. Obviously, you've got to be technically good. The bravery that you mentioned, and what comes with that is bravery also comes from confidence. And this is a team that hasn't won yet this season. So to try and find that confidence, one in yourself, but actually, do they believe in this style of play? Do they believe in the manager and the way that they're playing? Because they haven't seen the fruits of it yet.
There are teams that go through these difficult spells and get through it. We saw it with Southampton last season, didn't we? They had a horrible September, but they came through it. And obviously, we see them in the Premier League now trying to do similar things. But it can take a little while. Yeah,
it can take a little while. And it's one of those football cliches, but it's believing in the process. And, in terms of your analysis that you do after games, if you can see the right things, the carrying stats that we saw from about Louis Coyle, for example. So we know that that's something that the manager wants to input going further forward, but it's a matter of building, and you can't do that in just 4 games.
Here's Kiefer Moore trying to lay it out to the right hand side for O'Hare. Tried to skip in field and then commits a foul as he just had a heavy touch, and Malem won it and then went down under the challenge. Hull with a free kick, which they've taken quickly. Back to the goalkeeper, Panda. The goalkeeper situation at Hull is really interesting. 5 goalkeepers. Panda keeping his place at the moment. He started all 5 games in the Championship, but a lot of Hull fans would have thought there'd been a change. Might come back to that in a second, though. It was Raksaki in possession. 2 Hull defenders for company, but he's shaking them off. Towards the D he goes for the shot and drags it wide, a couple of yards wide. Panda's left-hand post. It was a low effort. He didn't really catch it properly, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
No, and Callum O'Hare made a fantastic run to his right-hand side, and could have played him the ball, but actually the run from O'Hare as well opens up a little bit of space, and you're thinking, driving in with your left foot there, is he going to try and bend it in that top left-hand corner? He doesn't. He tries to give the keeper the eyes and put it in that bottom right-hand corner, but just completely scuffs the shot.
He is a threat, Rak-Saki. 0-0, 6 gone. The Crystal Palace loanee, although Andre Brooks, the academy product, was keeping him out the side early doors. Certainly hasn't been guaranteed game time at Sheffield United. Rak-Saki, as Malem on the left wing for Hull, just goes back to Giles near the edge of his own penalty area. And once again, the patient build-up from the home side continues. They're without a win at the first 4 games of this season. They're yet to take the lead in any game. As the goalkeeper under pressure from Moore just has to sweep it towards his left, and Giles, who will clip it towards halfway to no one in particular. Arblaster will take it on his chest, but then gives it away. And Bedia gets away from one challenge, and another goes down, with Arblaster making the sliding effort, and he's going to go in the book. Free kick Hull, 40 yards from goal. And just Bedia there with his first real chance to scamper forward, the Ivorian.
Yeah, it's interesting because Sousa has only just got back to his feet. I think he feels that he's took one to the face, whether that's intentional or just the natural movement of Bedia, and just like that, quite quickly actually, Hull City go forward. But initially, the playing out from the back, it's really slow. The movement in front of the defenders is next to nothing. It's so lacking, so that's why the long ball goes up. It's fortunate for Hull City that they managed to win it back, because Sheffield United give it away poorly.
So free kick, central position. It's going to be chipped towards the penalty area by Irma. Bedia's up there and offside. The flag up very, very quickly as Cooper came to punch clear. He won it anyway. And I think Bedia was maybe expecting the Sheffield United line to drop, and it didn't really do enough for him.
No. Yeah, it was one of the easy decisions that I'm sure the assistant will have tonight.
Absolutely. Well, he's been prolific in his career, Bedia, at Servette in Switzerland particularly. He's coming on loan from Union Berlin, barely played there, looking for his first Hull City goal. So far no score, 8 minutes gone on Talksport 2. Cooper with a long clearance downfield, target man Kiefer Moore flicking it on. It's away at the back by Hull City towards halfway, intercepted by the Blades. Coyle trying to win it, a little bit scrappy at the moment in midfield. The decision goes the home side's way. Coyle trying to take the throw in quickly, being prevented from doing that. Chris Wilder talking about the fire he saw at the end of the Watford game as well. Really pleased to see all the players sticking up for each other. There was a bit of a scuffle at the end.
Yeah, more than one, I believe, as well, on a couple of occasions. It was just starting to bubble in sort of the last 10-15 minutes of the game, but yeah, it is one of those where the atmosphere was brilliant, and when Bramall Lane's like that, it really is a fortress. As I mentioned earlier, it probably shouldn't have got to that point. They shouldn't have been clinging on, but it's nice to know that you can do that when needed.
Billy Sousa clearing it into the sky, drops near the centre circle, and Hull City can pick it up here. And out of play it goes. It's a little bit careless at the moment from the home side, and Gilchrist will be able to take the throw midway inside his own half. Sheffield United starting this season with 2 wins and 2 draws. It is amazingly their best unbeaten league start to a campaign in 12 years, which, when you consider there have been 3 promotions in that time, is alarming, astonishing in a way, but it's been a good start.
Yeah, and I think that's what you always want. You don't want to be trying to play catch up. We know that these championship seasons are absolutely ruthless, so the quicker you can accrue points and get them on the board, the better. We saw it, didn't we, with Leicester City last season.
Sousa with the ball back to his goalkeeper. There was hope from the home fans that Malem might be able to chase down Cooper, but in reality he was nowhere near it. Long clearance straight up the other end to Panda in the Hull City goal. 10 played, still no score. Rak-Saki's effort dragged wide, the only real goal-mouth action that we've seen.
This is what I'm saying now, that the ball, whether it be McLaughlin or out to Alfie Jones, it's quite pedestrian. It's easy in terms of the forward prep for Sheffield United just to lock on to players, because the lack of movement in front, it's so easy to pick up.
Well, they're trying to release Abu Kamara down the right, and Gilchrist across the Sheffield United right back there to deal with that. into the arms of Cooper, who bowls it outfield to Burrows. Left-hand side. 1-2 with Harmer. Over halfway they cross. Harmer back in possession again, looking for Burrows once more down the left flank. Coyle chasing to recover. The Hull City captain gets there comfortably as well. Goes back to his goalkeeper. Kiefer Moore almost pinched that. Well, it's heart attack football in some ways, isn't it, Corsi? it's brave, as we've been saying.
Yeah, the Hull fans behind that goal, I don't think quite appreciated how close that one was. But again, I'm watching the setup. Allegedly, the manager is talking about rotations to get on the ball, and certainly not seeing that from the midfield and the forward players as yet.
Hull with a throw, 25 yards down the Sheffield United right. And Giles, they thought about a quick one, but they've left it to Giles. Hull City trying to engineer a chance in front of their own fans. It's been a difficult watch at times for the home fans. Just that one Estepinian penalty scored here for the home side in 2 games. And they've lost possession cheaply as well. Sheffield United through Arblasser looking for O'Hare over the top. Across comes Jones to head clear. Flicked header from Abu Kamara. Bedia being told to chase down the goalkeeper by Malin, because that's where the ball was going from Sheffield United. Cooper clears with room to spare. Kamara though, the ball bouncing towards him. Vinny Souza though tidies up for the Blades in his own half. Over halfway they go with the ball, but again it's comfortably into Hull City possession. We've talked about Hull City's build-up, but Sheffield United at the moment, they've not quite found a rhythm yet, have they?
No, they've not found a rhythm. They actually look a little bit better out of possession, because in terms of the way that they're starting the press, initially it's been working quite well. Hull City are starting to find a way to play out actually and growing into the game.
So goalless here, 12 minutes gone. Let's check in on the Super League. Wigan leads, Craig Murdoch.
A white-hot start from the champions there, 10-0 up in the blink of an eye. Tries through Wardle and French, 1 Kieran goal. The Wigan Warriors are on fire, 10-0 their lead.
Craig, thank you. You've missed nothing. Cooper with the ball in his own penalty area for Sheffield United. To the on-loan Leicester man, Suter. Ball into midfield for O'Hare. Tried to shrug off a challenge. And then Ratsaki tried to do the same illegally, in the opinion of the assistant referee on this near side. So Hull City will have themselves a free kick. And it's interesting with Sheffield United, you're saying them being better out of possession. They had to be with all the goals they conceded last season in the Premier League. That was a non-negotiable, I'm sure, for Chris Wilder at the start of this campaign. But in terms of what they brought in, I mean, Harry Suter at this level is a great player to have. Ahmed Hodzic looking like he's back to his best as well in terms of what we've seen from him in the opening 4 games of the season too. But it's Hull City with a bit of space to attack here. Irma dashing through the middle, 25 yards out, sets it to camera across the 6-yard box, and Suter sliding to clear behind Hull City corner.
Suter, he gets his positioning spot on there, and he really has to. It's a good sweeping move from Hull City. Better movement, moving the ball more quickly. That just final ball has to be in front of the defender.
14 gone, 0-0. Hull City though with a set piece from the left. Malem gets it, a short one. 3 Sheffield United defenders out there. And it's gone back into midfield and it's been lost. O'Hare's stolen it and it's 2-on-1. Harmer on the right, Raksaki on the left. It goes right to Harmer into the penalty area, shooting and scoring. A lightning break from Sheffield United. The Blades in front in the 15th minute. It was a Hull corner. They went backwards and then they lost it. Sheffield United pounce, and that is ruthless from Gustavo Harmer on the counter. His 3rd of the campaign already. Hull City 0, Sheffield United 1.
Well, it's an unbelievable counter-attack. It's as simple as that. And one of those where it's quite simple. They win the ball back. Harmer, you can see, it's absolutely busting a gut on this right-hand side. And you just see O'Hare out the corner of his eye, in his peripheral. He can see it. He's just waiting and he waits to the perfect time to give Harmer enough of a chance so he can get that big touch out of his feet. He won't be shut down too quickly by the defenders, and then it's all about the finish from there. Hard, low, across the goalkeeper. Perfect finish. And also, got to say that Raksaki, I think it was, plays his part, because he's making the run on the left-hand side as well, just to occupy the other defender. That is ruthless. It is
Sheffield United who hit the front. And it's not a great moment for Mohamed Baloumi on his debut, losing out to O'Hare, and the counter coming from there. And all of a sudden, Hull City behind again. They've had the lion's share of the ball, and it came from actually one of their better moments. The corner was won from their first really decent attack, and the ball doesn't go in the box, and they're punished for it. So it's McLaughlin at the back. Just goes square to Jones. Now Coyle at right back, just on halfway. Tries to chip it towards the run of Baloumi. And that's cut out. Burrows with the challenge. Hull City throw midway inside the Sheffield United half. And Sheffield United, who have started so well in this championship season, had 2 points to make up from a deduction at the start of the campaign for financial issues at the last time they were in the EFL. And they're in front here. They wiped out that deficit very quickly on the opening night, and they have continued in a similar vein. Arblaster challenged in on the left-hand side, wins a throw.
It's the cruel thing about football, though, isn't it? You say about Hull City, the fact that their best attack of the game, they look threatening down this left-hand side, but then so quickly their fortunes change. It's a mistake, and O'Hare, I spoke about him in terms of his ability on the ball, but actually he works so hard as well. His work rate, his tenacity, and you see it there to get on the ball, but then the cleverness is so astute, just to hold on to the ball at exactly the right time, to give Harmer enough time to get up with him. The weight of pass is perfect, and the finish is even better.
They love a trip here, Sheffield United. They've won their last 3 league visits. The last one coming a couple of years ago, September 2022. Sander Berger, Ollie McBurney on the score sheet. And what was a fairly comfortable win that day as well. And they were hot favourites coming in, and they have wrestled the initiative from Hull City here, but O'Hare wrestling Malem to the ground, and it's going to be a free kick for the home side, and 10-15 yards inside their own half central position. Oh, thoughts of Tim Volter, who's got plenty of new faces he can call upon, but 2 new debutants out wide. It's Giles, though, a more familiar face, who's leading this attack. And he's cut back, cut out. But he has another opportunity. Goes back towards McLaughlin. Still on this left wing with Kamara now. Attacking Gilchrist. Low into the middle. Malem making the run. Narrow angle. Suter blocking. Now Raksaki can clear. And Sheffield United towards halfway with Kiefer Moore, and all of a sudden the body's coming forward quickly. Gustavo Harmer tries to get away from the sliding challenge of Coyle and does so. Advancing on the penalty area, trying to send it into Kiefer Moore. McLaughlin on the cover, and exactly the right place from the Hull City defender. And Harmer, the goal scorer, not able to be just quite as ruthless that time.
Yeah, I think Harmer didn't look up initially. By the way, Kiefer Moore does extremely well in terms of the way that he links the play, brings it down, plays it back out, and Harmer, as he looks up, he doesn't take that second look. And you see Kiefer Moore has just checked his run, he's gone to go in front, and then he's just going to check behind the defender, makes his life easier, but Harmer had already made his decision and released the ball, and it's a shame because it was another good counter-attacking play from the Blades.
19 played, Hull 0, Sheffield United 1, live on Talksport 2. Plenty coming up across the weekend on the Talksport network as well. Starting at midday on Saturday, a 12:30 kickoff. Southampton yet to win in the Premier League against Manchester United. 2 defeats in a row. Eric Ten Hag needs a result there, you would think. As Gilchrist just heads back to his goalkeeper, at the same time leads Burnley in the Championship. In fact, that header back has gone behind for a Hull City corner, and just a little bit careless from Sheffield United. And well, can Hull capitalise? Irma's across to this left-hand side. All the corners have gone short, but there are big bodies forward to attack this. And the Hull City fans, you can see behind the goal, just pointing towards the penalty area. Irma swings it in, the header's flicked on, it goes through a sea of bodies, and it's going to be picked up by Hull on the right-hand side this time. Lifted back in towards the box. Suter with a strong header clear. Drops towards Kamara. O'Hare challenging for it. McLaughlin still in midfield here. And then there's a strong challenge coming in, which will be a Sheffield United free kick as Arblaster goes down, and stays down for a moment. He is okay.
I think the fans will feel a little bit vindicated with that one, telling him to put the ball in, and actually it was decent ball. It looked dangerous. Ironic cheers as well after it went into the box.
It says something about the mood, doesn't it, amongst the home faithful. I mean, they do fill this place up now. In days gone by, they really didn't, but there's some very good ticket strategies going on, particularly for a Friday night. $3.50 for under 10s to get in tonight.
Bargain.
But for a championship game, they do things right, Hull City, and credit where credit's due for that. But at the moment, their side are not being able to put on a performance that will encourage perhaps some people coming for the first time to come back. Tim Volter has plenty of time to change that, though. 21 gone. Hull 0, Sheffield United 1.
There's still you mentioned it earlier, for Tim Volter, a lot of new faces now. That can be a blessing and a curse, and I think at this stage of the season it's certainly a curse. I don't think he's quite found his best team.
Saying for a lot of these players it's a new culture, a new mentality. You know, the likes of Malem have plenty of experience in German football, but nothing of the Championship, and there's certainly adjustments going on. I mean, Vidi Souza in the Sheffield United lineup, playing in the Championship for the first time this season, still getting used to it, having played in the Premier League last year. There are different challenges in the second tier of English football. It's all bouncing towards Souza, but it's going to be won by Hull, and it's sent to the left, and Giles on the halfway line. Hammer quickly into Malem, tries to get it back, but Suter is there to cover. Ball back to his goalkeeper is a risky one. Bedia nearly got it. Cooper with a weak clearance. Here's Malem, 30 yards out, goes to Coyle, tries to backheel it out towards the width from the right-hand side of Balumi. Coyle gets it back, away from his man, sends in the cross. Blaster there to put it behind Hull City corner. And Sheffield United taking risks now.
Yeah, and I think the reason that the clearance from Cooper was weak was I don't think he even saw Bedia right until the last minute, and then it's that thing for a goalkeeper. If I put my foot through it, miss the ball, and obviously clear up the centre forward, I give away a penalty. So it's certainly a moment that back line didn't need.
It's going to be Irma to swing this in. A low ball in towards the near post, which Sheffield United clear with Coyle attacking it. And it's all the way back to the Hull City goalkeeper, Ivo Panda. But there are encouraging signs for the home side if they can put Sheffield United under a bit of pressure. Balumi with the header down, wide right. Irma providing support. Tries to send it back, but Burrows is in the way for Sheffield United. And is trying to find a passing option in the end. Just has to clear long. O'Hare trying to rise for it, but it's over his head. Ryan Giles back to his goalkeeper. And Sheffield United, well, they're one of the sides that are expected to be up there in terms of the promotion race. You look at Leeds and Burnley, some of the hot favourites to be up there, but you know, the way Sheffield United have started, we shouldn't really count them out in terms of the top two at this point, should we?
No, certainly not. The way that they're playing, the attacking threats that they've got, they're certainly capable of it. But, you know, agree in terms of what was said earlier, though. You look at the squad as a whole, it's definitely not got the depth of a Leeds or of a Burnley. So that's, I think, really where this squad is going to live and die. It's, you know, how often can you rotate players? And again, I go back to that Watford game. You know, if you're winning that comfortably as they should have been, you can make changes, but you know, had to battle it out, and that's where you then sort of taking risks with players and injuries, and it's going to take a bit of luck to keep everyone fit.
Ball swinging to the box, only half cleared by Gilchrist, but Harmer sends it long, and Kiefer Moore is in miles of space here, in towards the penalty area, one-on-one. Well, Jones has recovered and got back, sends it to O'Hare now, who clips it back towards Kiefer Moore on the Sheffield United attack, breaks down, and there was a moment, Courtney Sweetcurt, where Sheffield United could have made life a lot more comfortable for themselves out of nothing, and it remains 1-0 to the Blades.
Yeah, exactly, and Kiefer Moore has got a lot of attributes. His pace probably isn't one, and I think initially that lets him down. Then his first touch, I think when you're in that position, the defender's coming across, if you can get the big touch across the defender, completely takes them out. He doesn't manage to get that, then he's always fighting, instead of then getting the shot off as well. When the defenders come in, take the shot off on your left hand side, he doesn't, tries to cut in, loses the moment and loses all the momentum, but it just shows how dangerous Blades are on the counter-attack at the moment.
Credit to Alfie Jones for the recovery, for being able to delay Kiefer Moore, and then O'Hare trying to cross it back to him. The accuracy just wasn't there. But just like that, Hull City were really exposed. And here's Ahmed Hodzic just crossing halfway for the Blades here. Just goes back towards Burrows. Vinny Souza just taking up a centre-half position while Ahmed Hodzic should run forward.
It's interesting, isn't it, as well, and you speak about Hull City being exposed, and when you want your defenders to come forward to carry the ball, that is the risk that you take.
Hammer trying to get forward, dragged back by Harmer, 25 yards from goal, and it's going to be a booking for the Sheffield United man, second man in the book tonight. And that is his third yellow of the season, by the way, for Gustavo Harmer.
Yeah, he always collects them quite well, doesn't he?
Yeah, only 2 more for a ban, though. It's only mid-September. He says, checking his watch. But Sheffield United with a bit of defending to do. And Harmer taking one for the team there, because Kamara was in a decent attacking position, as it is. Inside left. 25 yards out or so. Hull City have options to go wide to Giles or to clip this into the box. Naylor may even fancy a strike here with Irma co-conspirator over this free kick. 26 gone. Hull 0, Sheffield United 1 on Talksport 2. And there is a 4-man Sheffield United wall. Cooper finally happy with it. McLaughlin standing near the wall as well. And now just comes a little bit further to try and block the goalkeeper's view, which does tend to suggest there might be a strike here from either Malem or Irma. Or can Hull City get themselves back level? Irma steps up left-footed, goes for goal and tipped over the top. Cooper backpedaling. It was central in his goal. You would have expected him to make the save, but nevertheless he had to do it, and it remains Hull 0, Sheffield United 1.
Yeah, it's a really good strike. The ball was moving all over the place, but as you say, when it's central in the goal like that, you're expecting the keeper to make the save, but either side of him, and he's struggling there, Cooper.
So it's Irma who's come across, who took the free kick to take the corner, swings it into the middle. Kiefer Moore back there with a strong header clear. Spoke about his threat at one end of the box, but you mentioned pre-match as well that he's so good in the other box as well to clear his lines. Kiefer Moore, who, well, I wonder whether the Sheffield United coaching and medical staff may have been watching that Wales game in Montenegro from behind the sofa, given the atrocious conditions that they had to deal with out there. But on the score sheet, and a good start under Craig Bellamy for Wales. And Kiefer Moore, who hasn't been able to take the best opportunity he's had this evening, a one-on-one that just didn't really work out. But Sheffield United continue to look like they're a threat. O'Hare, just in midfield at the moment, goes to the right, and Raksaki, who's just inside the whole half, and he's won it back, having lost it. Raksaki away from McLaughlin. And more danger for Hull City as Raksaki tries to shake off the challenge of Kamara onto his left foot into the penalty area. Tried to cut it back towards Kiefer Moore in the D, but it was cut out. Gilchrist fighting forward in midfield. Souza comes to help out his teammate. The Hull fans want a foul, it's not given. Malem picking himself up and patting himself down as Harmer now on the left-hand side with O'Hare for support near the edge of the penalty area. Now Burrows, as Sheffield United recycle it near the edge of the box. And the cross in towards Kiefer Moore. Brilliant sliding challenge to deny the Sheffield United striker behind for a Sheffield United corner. If that challenge was not made, it would have been 2.
Yeah, it's a brilliant block, and actually probably the first time Sheffield United have moved the ball through the thirds and created something of their own fruition, because everything else really has been the mistakes of Hull City that have let Sheffield United in.
Well, what can they do from this corner, which Harmer is set to take? Swung in deep towards the back post. Suter was up there and his man went down, and the referee Peter Banks has decided that it's the Australian international who was the offender there, and Hull City will be able to clear their lines. Half an hour played. As we say good evening to listeners on Talksport. Hull 0, Sheffield United 1. The goal coming 15 minutes into the game. A lightning break from Sheffield United. Gustavo Harmer on the end of it, firing low into the corner. Sheffield United with the better of the chances, but we have seen Abdush Irma go close with a free kick just a few moments ago. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, what have you made of it so far?
Yeah, I think they've grown into the game, Hull City. It's just there's moments when they are coming forward, as you mentioned. Yeah, look dangerous at a couple of times, but Sheffield United have been clever They've outnumbered them a number of times on the counter-attack. Kiefer Moore went clear one-on-one nearly with the goalkeeper. It was fantastic last-ditch defending from Alfie Jones in the end to recover the situation, but Blades certainly look the better team. They're outnumbering Hull City on the counter-attack, but considering the run that Hull City are on, there have been some positive signs, but they've not quite put defence and attack together just yet.
It's Hull City who've got themselves a throw midway inside the Sheffield United half, and it's sent towards the striker Bedier, but Suter with the header clear. O'Hare though struggling with it near his own penalty area, goes down, and it will be a Sheffield United free kick. Commentary continuing on Talksport 2. It's Sheffield United who lead this one by a goal to nil. Here's Cooper at the back for Sheffield United, the goalkeeper, who's not, apart from that Abdush Irma free kick, been tested too often. There have been some nervy moments when the ball's been played back to him and a bit of pressure's come either from Bedier or from Malem at times. Malem, who is in a much more advanced position than perhaps we anticipated tonight for Hull City. As Moore brings it down, tries to slip it into the penalty area. Raksaki tried the clever flick, and a combination of Coyle and Panda keeps it out. And all of a sudden again, Sheffield United finding a route through with what seems like too much ease, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Yeah, and they're mixing it up well that time. It's just a long ball from Suter, and it's more running down the outside channel of the centre half. Does well, as we know he does. Links the play, brings it down excellently well. There's the little flickers, and they're in the end from Raksaki. It's the run off the back shoulder of Jones for me. Jones hasn't got a clue where he is, and yet again the defenders, they're having to bail their team out. But Sheffield United, again, they've had a period where I think Hull City for a while looked like the better team, but they're just starting to find their feet again, Sheffield United. Vinny Souza picking it up at the tip of the centre circle, helps it onto Harmer. Now Kiefer Moore, central position, 30 yards out. Harmer out to the right, and Raksaki in the penalty area now, stepping in onto his left foot. The shot was blocked the angle there, and Hull City just about managed to scramble it away, but only for a Sheffield United throw on the right, level with the edge of the Hull penalty area. It goes back to Harry Suter. 32 played, still Hull 0, Sheffield United 1 on Talksport 2. Mike McCarthy alongside Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Plenty of action to bring you from the EFL through the weekend. We mentioned Leeds-Burnley tomorrow at 12:30 on Talksport 2. Portsmouth-West Brom in the Championship as well on Sunday afternoon at 3. Portsmouth still looking for their first win. West Brom looking good once again this season. Birmingham-Wrexham as well on Monday night at 8 o'clock. That is a real Hollywood fixture. With Wrexham going well in League One, and Birmingham City looking for an instant return, having spent, well, enormous amounts of cash to try and make sure that they do that. Now, you're going to be there, Courtney. It's going to be decent, isn't it, that one? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As you mentioned, two of the teams that we're expecting to be battling for that top spot in League One, and yes, it's really early stages, isn't it? But it'd be interesting to see how they go up against each other.
Well, Wrexham back in the third tier for the first time in a long time, looking very accomplished. Missing nothing on the pitch at the moment because the ball's been sprayed between both defences. But it's Hull City in possession at the back. Here's McLaughlin. Saw a stat that he's had more touches than anyone else in the Hull team, and you can see why in terms of the way that they build up. Coyle, who's just urging Jones a little bit closer to him. Base of the centre circle now for Hull City as this attack creeps forward. Sheffield United yet to really engage until it goes down towards the left-hand side, and Giles chasing to keep it in. Just a yard or two too quick for the former Luton man, and it's out for a Sheffield United goal kick.
Well, they're quite happy, Sheffield United. That's why, to almost sit off and let Hull City have the ball, because by and large in this game they've not done too much with it. They've not been that dangerous, and you see when the defenders have got the ball, the midfielders and the forwards in front of them, there's such a lack of movement, there's no dynamism, there's no rotations, and I thought that's what the new manager wanted. That's what he said he's been working on, but I don't think the players have quite got the message yet.
And where's the breakdown coming from? Where should the movement be that we're not seeing from Hull at the moment? Although maybe we'll see some here with Kamara trying to set it through for Bellumi, but it's just cut out. Great challenge by Ahmed Hodzic, who carries this over towards the halfway line, and over it now has to check back. Vinny Souza Crosses halfway this time. His ball's a little bit careless though, and Finlay Burns will pick up the pieces for Hull City in the centre of midfield.
Well, the movement, it obviously has to come in front of the defenders. And then there's an argument, if you do make the movement and you don't get the ball, that's when you can say you've got to play it. But for me, from what I've seen so far, there's a lack of movement in front in the midfield, in the forward line. You know, even in the forward line, when, for example, now it's in defence, you can dictate from the midfield, you can drop in and say, you know, get in behind me. But just seems to be a lack of movement, a lack of communication so far.
Irma loses out to Burrows as Sheffield United can counter once more. And it's a lovely ball from Harmer through to O'Hare, left wing. A couple of cream shirts in the middle. Burrows is there too. Will have a go, and that's blocked. And now it's Hull City who can come forward, with Sheffield United committing a lot of bodies into that attack. And you take it with Malem, who takes too much time, and he's tackled. And now it's Sheffield United. It's become a bit of a basketball game with Raksaki coming forward now. The game has no midfield at all. Harmer, 30 yards from goal, in towards Kiefer Moore, heavy touch. But Sheffield United have it once more as the clearance comes towards Gilchrist on the right, in towards the byline. O'Hare cuts it back, header only half clear. Irma on the edge of the penalty area will get it back. And now Hull City try and counter themselves. This is absolute chaos. Camera in towards Bedia in the middle. And Ahmet Hodzic back there, where you would expect him to be. And suddenly a bit of continuity returns to the game, which completely deteriorated in terms of the way that the game was shaping up there. Courtney Sweetman-Cope, there's a counter-attack after a counter-attack, and no one really could get an effort on goal.
No, let's counter the counter with another counter.
Well, there's bravery for you.
No, it certainly is. The only thing that I did notice and worried me there for Hull City is, see when Sheffield United lose the ball, the way that everyone straight away running back to try and get back into shape. A couple of times there, Hull City, they lose the ball, you've got people walking back, jogging back. That's not what you need at that moment in time. Everyone has to be getting back in their positions and filling spaces.
Giles lifting it in towards Balumi on the penalty spot. It goes past him, but Coyle picks it up, corner of the penalty area. Ahmet Hodzic clears his goal-bound effort, and now it's Irma who can pick it up in midfield. Hull 0, Sheffield United 1, 7 minutes to the break on Talksport 2. Your home of the EFL. As Giles on the left wing cuts in field away from Raksaki, who slides in to recover. The Hull fans want a foul. Giles wasn't really claiming it. Sousa carries it over halfway and then sends it towards O'Hare. 22,403 inside the MKM tonight. They're nearly full.
I'll tell you what, Mike, Kiefer Moore, by the way, is fuming. Vinny Sousa picks up the ball there. Kiefer Moore, he's in his own half. All the Hull City defenders are in front of him. If that ball gets played earlier, he's clean through. Don't know why Vinny Sousa's holding on to that the way that he does.
Well, Sheffield United back in possession. Yeah, I've enjoyed their opening 39 minutes or so, largely. Hull haven't had enough of a threat on Michael Cooper's goal, as well, there's an offside against Kiefer Moore, who was then, well, in the NFL you might call that a horse collar challenge, as he gets back to his feet, feeling the effects of that, Kiefer Moore.
Yeah, it was a bit brutal, that one.
Well, he's shaking it off. He's a tough cookie, Kiefer Moore. But it's back with the Hull City goalkeeper, Pandor, who's way outside of his goal, playing as an extra centre-half at the moment. Giles now, as Pandor goes back towards his own penalty area. Giles under pressure from O'Hare, so goes to Kamara. Back in towards the defence, and there's one pass forward and then there's no option. The pass goes back.
Everything's just in straight lines. There's nothing really, whether it be the movement of the ball, the movement on the ball, the movement off the ball, to dislodge that shape of Sheffield United. You see it there, it's almost perfect, that back four, the line you've got, and Sousa and Arblaster just behind. They're not having to do much to just keep the ball in front of them and keep up with the play at all.
You can hear the murmurings of the home fans who are maybe thinking about a half-time cup of tea, because at the moment there's not been too much to warm the hearts here. Suter.
It's far too easy to get out, the way Sheffield United have just
Gilchrist has carried this a good 30-35 yards, still going. Gilchrist is in the penalty area now, and only a challenge from Kamara stops him. It's not cleared, and Gilchrist will challenge for it again, and a third time, and tries to win a free kick off Burns, which he's not going to get. It will be a goal kick to the home side, but how was he allowed to carry the ball nearly 50 yards there, Courtney Sweetman?
I have no idea. It's far too easy. It starts on the left-hand side, 3 passes round the back line, and as you say, then Gilchrist just keeps going and going. You can't be driving 50 yards and no player from the opposing team engages you.
Well, Tim Volter, the Hull City boss, says he wants his players to solve things on the pitch. They have a lot of problems to deal with right now, and half-time team talk 4 minutes away with his side a goal down. I think if you're Tim Volter, you take that right now, don't you?
Yeah, I think it certainly could have been worse. For me, that some of the problem, it looks like, and I don't like saying this, but it looks like effort at times, and that can be, come from a different perspective of, you don't potentially know your position, so that's why you may be caught out. You're thinking you need to hold your position when you don't. You've got a track player, but for me, when a player runs 50 yards and no one engages them, that's just a lack of intensity for anyone to try and win the ball back.
Well, this passage of play that we're watching at the moment, we're watching Sheffield United control the game without controlling the ball, and Hull City are not finding a way through. 3 minutes to half-time, Hull 0, Sheffield United 1. That goal on 15 minutes from Gustavo Harmer on the break.
Interesting body language there from McLaughlin. Gets rid of the ball, both hands up in the air as if to say, I've got nothing to pass to, what do you want me to do with it?
Tim Volter's had his arms folded. He's been on the edge of his technical area for most of this first half, trying to plot a way back into this game for Hull City. At the moment, they're barely progressing beyond the edge of their own penalty area because the ball keeps going back there to the goalkeeper. Now a bit of space, Kamara to attack. Across comes Vinny Souza to meet him on the left flank. Kamara's carrying this, and then he's going to win a corner off the boot of Gilchrist. Good run from the Hull City debutant, and there's a set piece for Hull City to work with.
Yeah, and he does well, Kamara, and Betty has done well in spells as well, but for me it looks like individuals. When Hull City do well, it's the willingness of the individual rather than the whole team.
They're taking it short but quickly. Irma now back to Balumi, left-footed, whips it into the penalty area. Kiefer Moore up there gets a glancing header. Akman Hodzic with the karate kick away from his own penalty area, and it's back with the Hull goalkeeper, who will have to start this all over again because Sheffield United have cleared their lines and they're getting themselves reset with 2 to play to the break. Here's Jones, helps it on to the Hull right. They're trying to work a chance down this right-hand side. Souza trying to get back there. Sliding challenge to stop Coyle's cross. Another Hull City corner. They've had several of these, and they just as of yet have not been able to do very much. But Vinny Souza is down. And well, he choked after the Watford game. He got cramp about 5 times covering the ground that he did. He did cover an awful lot of ground in that game, and I wonder whether the first half here is having a similar effect because he's on the stretch there and making the block, and those can be awkward sometimes, can't they, Courtney?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's a twinge in terms of muscular in the legs or whether maybe he's taken one to the midriff and he's winded himself, but as you say, it was certainly blocking that challenge. Arms up in the air would say to me he's took one in the midriff and is got a little bit winded. Yeah,
certainly not being stretched out, those legs at the moment, are they? So that would certainly go along with the theory as the Sheffield United medical team get to work. But Chris Wilder has gone back towards the Sheffield United bench. He can be pretty satisfied with what he's seen from his side at the moment. Sheffield United heading for a 3rd win in 5 at the start of this championship campaign. A victory, if it's a big enough one, could take them as high as 3rd tonight, although of course everyone else still to play this weekend. It's the Sheffield United fans you can hear stood in the corner to our left-hand side of the MKM Stadium. And they've had plenty to enjoy, not just Gustavo Harmer's breakaway goal, but other opportunities. Kiefer Moore with a glorious chance to make it 2. 25 minutes into the game when he was set into acres of space but couldn't convert it. And that Raksaki chance where he tried to flick it towards goal. Just on that chance, by the way, is there anything else he could have done, as we've got 3 minutes added on at the end of it, because his back was towards goal. It was kind of the only finish he could make, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the only argument is, do you try and hold on to it and play it back to a teammate? But no, I'd have done exactly the same thing there. You've just got to try and guide it towards goal.
Back underway, another short corner from Hull. fan in front of us shouting shoot. Just wants to see something from the home side, but it's been played around the penalty area, lofted into the box and cleared.
You think as well, Sousa's off the pitch, so they're down to 10, Sheffield United. So you've got a numerical advantage if you're Hull City. Get the ball in the box.
A bit short, the ball to Coyle. Harmer nearly stole it, but it is the Hull City captain who has it inside right. Goes to the right wing now. Lumi trying to lift it in. His cross deflected high up into the sky. Malin flicking it on. Still not clear this for Sheffield United as Hull City try and put on some pressure late at the end of this first half. Burns, 40 yards out now. Irma trying to get away from O'Hare. Lumi helping it on. Akman Hodzic there to clear. But the home fans applauding the efforts there. 1 minute of the 3 additional played. Still Hull behind. And looking for a way back. They won't do it that way. The ball's given away to Harman. Arblaster then is challenged late. And it's going to be another booking. I think this time it's the on-loan Man City man Finlay Burns who just caught Arblaster. And that is the yellow card for the 21-year-old.
And that's the way, the referee has ref the game in terms of he had to give a yellow for that because of the other cautions he's given out. Nothing too untoward in it. You see Burns just trying to win the ball. Arblaster gets there first. And that should, there's another minute or so, but just about see Sheffield United into the half.
Well, if you're Chris Wilder, you've got a lot less to say to your team at half-time. More of the same, please, lads. Is there anything else you'd like to see from Sheffield United in the second 45?
I think there's a couple of times where they've been just looked a bit loose on the transition, I will say, so I think he'll want to tidy that up. But aside from that, get another goal, get your cushion, unlike you did against Watford, because that can always be a precarious scoreline, 1-0.
Arblaster into the box, away from one challenge but not the second. As he goes down, there was no foul. There is a foul on Coyle, who tried desperately to stay on his feet. It took about 4 strides falling over there.
Like something out of a cartoon.
It's a sort of Wile E. Coyote as he tried to keep to his feet there, but gravity did the rest of the work for him. Hull City trying to get forward down the left, but they've won a throw, and we're around 10 seconds of additional time to play with Sheffield United a goal to the good, and looking like that's the way it's going to be heading towards the half-time interval. And indeed that is the half-time whistle, and you can hear boos from some of the Hull City supporters who see their side behind again and not really creating an awful lot. The goal coming on 15 minutes, a brilliant counter-attack from a Hull City corner that Sheffield United exploited when it was played short and won back off the feet of Bellumi on his debut. O'Hare helping it on to Gustavo Harmer, who fired low and ruthlessly into the bottom corner past Pandur. Sheffield United could have made it 2. Kiefer Moore in huge space, played in, almost had the entire half to himself, but a great recovery run from Alfie Jones slowing him down, and in the end Kiefer Moore and the combination of him and Cameron O'Hare couldn't make the best of that opportunity. Hull have had their moments, particularly down the left hand side. Kamara's looked lively, and they've struggled really to test Cooper in the Sheffield United goal, apart from a free kick from Avdush Irma from range, but it was a central position and pretty much a regulation stop for Cooper, who did have to at least make the save. But it's the Hull City fans who are unhappy at the moment. Sheffield United heading for another victory in the Championship. Half-time, Hull City 0, Sheffield United 1.
Well, it might be just what we expected from that first 45 minutes. Obviously, off the back of the international break, neither side running at 100%, but Sheffield United certainly looking the more comfortable, the more incisive going forward, and they have the lead, of course. Courtney, it came after a fairly solid start from Hull, actually, but only 15 minutes into the game. Gustavo Harmer on the break with a lovely finish across the goalkeeper into the bottom left of the goal. Was that what Sheffield United deserved, though?
Yeah, I think it was against the run of play. I think potentially that first 15, 16 minutes or so was pretty even. I think Sheffield United had their spells, as I mentioned. Hull were then just starting to find their feet a little bit against the run of play, but I think they deserved it. It was a wonderful counter-attack, the way that O'Hare held onto the ball for just the perfect amount of time, releases it, and the weight of pass was exquisite. You've got Raksaki as well on the other side, still making the run, and that's so important because he's engaging the other defenders as well, because they've got an eye on him. And then the finish from Harmer from the angle, it's still quite wide, so there's a lot to do. But as you're taught as a centre forward or any player when you're young in front of goal, hit it low and hard across the goalkeeper. Don't give them a chance to get a hand on it, and that's what he did. And I think Sheffield United have been the better team, but I've seen some positives from Hull City. But for me, the way that Hull City attack, they just leave themselves open for that Sheffield United counter-attack. And you see when they're in possession, there's not too much in the way of movement or dynamism for Hull City. I think I said it in commentary, but when I think they're at their best, it's when individuals make something. So whether it's Kamara, whether it's Bedia, it's more of the individuals doing something special rather than the team creating something.
Would you say this is more down to inadequacies from Hull City, or the way Sheffield United have defended in the fact that they're managing to restrict them?
I think it's a bit of both. I think you see the way that Blades are defending. They're coming into sort of a mid-block, so they're quite happy. They've done their homework. They know that Hull City will like to possess the ball at the back. They know that they can get at them and press. We've seen it. They've not always, bear the fruits in terms of goal line action, but they've won it back quite a few times, Blades, from the back line, and Hull City being poor when they're playing out from the back. So I think they're quite happy to do that. As I mentioned, when Hull City are higher up the pitch, they're at odds and evens in terms of their shape, and Blades are very, very happy with the players that they've got to go and play on the counter-attack and outnumber. So yeah, I think it's a bit of both, where Blades are quite happy to sit and defend at times and say, go on, try and break us down, and Hull City as yet just haven't quite found the formula as a team to be able to break the Sheffield United shape down. Definitely
a dilemma, I think, for Tim Volter to solve in the second 45 minutes. All I'd say on Sheffield United, apart from the really good opportunity on 25 minutes for Kiefer Moore, when he really should have just used his left peg and hit it in at goal, there have been a couple of half breaks, half chances, but nothing really clicking with a real fluency for Sheffield United going forward. That is probably what you'd expect with so many new players still getting to know one another.
Yeah, and it'll come in fits and starts, because I saw it against Watford where it was so fluent. Again, it was a shame for them, I suppose, from the perspective that it should have been 3 or 4-0, or at least they should have scored 3 or 4 goals, and they didn't. It definitely, I agree with you, it's a little bit more clunky tonight. There was a little that half chance for Raksak as well, and I totally agree. Kiefer Moore, he's just got to either take that bigger touch to get across earlier, or when he doesn't, he needs to hit it with his left foot. So it's going to take time. I would still like to see the wide players give better service to Kiefer Moore, because the way that he comes in and links the play, he is so unselfish for the team. But as yet, I don't think the team are quite paying him back.
Okay, we shall see if things change for both sides in the second 45 minutes in terms of more fluency, more goals for Sheffield United, and just something from that Hull City team. Remember, without a win so far this season. We'll be back with Courtney Sweetman-Kirk and Mike McCarthy very, very shortly. Before we move on, let's get an update in Super League tonight with Wigan Warriors hosting Leeds Rhinos. Craig Murdoch.
Yeah, it's half-time here too, and it's been pretty much one-way traffic with the champions in control. Early tries from Wardle and French on 5 and 7 minutes. Kieran converted one of those, and then a try just before the half-time from Marshall sees the Wigan Warriors in control. Their lead 14 points to 0.
So, as it stands, Sheffield United's unbeaten start to the Championship campaign is set to continue. The winless run for Hull City also seems set to continue. Boos at the break at the MKM Stadium. Half-time on Talksport 2. It's Hull 0, Sheffield United 1.
This September, stream the Sky Sports Big Weekend on Now. Arsenal's title credentials are tested at Spurs. Championship heavyweights Leeds and Burnley go head-to-head. Can Lando and Lewis keep up the pressure on Max in Azerbaijan? And get behind Team Europe as they take on Team USA in the Solheim Cup. The September Big Weekend. Sky Sports, available with no contract on Now.
18 plus, UK only. Broadband 2.5 megabytes per second required. Monthly saver options also available.
You might want to step back from your speaker or remove your headphones.
Yes! I just can't believe it.
Mark's found out he's won £11.4 million on Lotto.
This is just... You know what? I've got tears in my eyes.
Yep, that's 11.4 million. Lotto, will you be the next millionaire? The National Lottery. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
At AJ Bell, we're all about making investing easy. It's why Which rate nobody higher than us for ease of use. So easy, anyone can invest. Your mum, your nan, a nan's nan, a nan's nan's mum, a man named Ron, Don, a dog named Dom, or a tomcat called Tom, a baker, a banker, a waiter, a tank engineer, even someone called Barry.
Hello.
Yes, an actual Barry. Can invest easily with AJ Bell. AJ Bell. Feel good investing. The value of your investments can go down as well as up.
Domino's doesn't do things by halves, unless it's price. Get 50% off pizza Friday to Sunday. Half price pizza, not half tasty. Friday to Sunday, online only. Exclusions apply. Minimum delivery spend, charges and restrictions apply. T's and C's, see domino's.co.uk.
As anyone who runs a small business knows, unexpected bills happen. Yeah, they do, just not your broadband bill. Because when you've got Virgin Media's business broadband, you won't get any unexpected mid-contract price rises. The price you signed up to is the price you pay. So now you can stay in control of your cash flow with business-ready broadband. Search Virgin Media Business. Virgin Media. See what you can do. 24-month contract, Virgin Media fibre areas only. Legal stuff applies.
Time for tasty savings with Lidl's Pick of the Week. Like half a kilo of black grapes for $1.29. A British butternut squash now just 79p. Or British sweetheart cabbages for only 49p each. And more in store from the 12th to the 18th of September. Now that's big on quality and always little on price. Limited offer subject to availability. Selected stores, GB only.
Live on DAZN September 21st. Joshua versus Dubois for the IBF World Heavyweight title. An explosive night at Wembley awaits. Buy now at DAZN.com.
The sports machine turns you on to the power of live football.
He fires it a beauty.
EFL Live on Talksport 2.
Raksaki on the left, it goes right to Harmer into the penalty area, shooting and scoring. A lightning break from Sheffield United. The Blades in front in the 15th minute.
It's an unbelievable counter-attack. It's as simple as that.
So far, Sheffield United, so good. Gustavo Harmer with the goal. It's the difference between the two teams. Neither has been at their best, but clearly those Hull City fans who have made their way to the MKM Stadium tonight are looking for a big response after the break. Remember, winless in their opening 4 championship games. That run could be 5 in the next 45 or so minutes. We'll have the second half for you very, very shortly here on TalkSport 2. I'm Hugh Wilson-Croft, by the way, with you as always and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. for EFL All Access. Let's talk about the EFL because as it continues to grow with even more eyes on the leagues this season, TalkSport's Bradley Hayden has been speaking to the EFL chairman himself, Rick Parry, about the increasing level of interest.
Well, it's been growing steadily, and we've seen record attendances in recent years, which is always very gratifying. We've got the fabulous new TV deal with Sky that they're putting a huge amount of effort into this year. So we're taking the excitement of our game to wider audiences. So things are very good, and the football's terrific. It's enjoyable at every single level. So yeah, I mean things are good.
When you look at maybe some of the TV deals that are happening overseas now, would it ever get to a point one day where maybe an EFL club might play a game overseas, or maybe a fixture, whether it's a competitive or a friendly sort of fixture overseas?
The EFL is a game in England as far as I'm concerned, so that's not even a debate in terms of what they do off-season. I mean, Wrexham have been playing games in America fairly regularly and playing against Premier League teams, but our focus is on, and it's what the supporters want, is playing games in England. That's our heartland, and as we've just said, in terms of relationships with the communities and the importance of that, relationships with their local towns, we're not going to do anything to fragment that.
When you look at some of the names involved in the EFL now, Victor Moses just joining Luton yesterday, Steve Bruce becoming the manager of Blackpool in League One. You look at the various ex-England players who are managing or starting their managerial careers in the Championship now. How important is it for the EFL to have those kind of names associated with clubs in Championship, League One and League Two?
I think they always have been. That's just the way the game functions, and if you turn it around and look at the number of players in the England squad for the Euros with EFL experience who'd started their career, whether on loan or with a championship club, the Jude Bellinghams, for example, then of course that's important. But, as we've said all along, the pyramid matters. That is the reality of what the pyramid is. It's not something we're inventing. It's not something new. It's the reality. We've had Mark Hughes managing in League Two. We have, in the opposite direction, the likes of Kieran McKenna taking Ipswich right the way up into the Premier League. So that cross-fertilisation, frankly, has always been there.
The EFL chairman, Rick Parry, there speaking to Talksport's Bradley Hayden at the EFL in the Community Showcase a little bit earlier on this week. Let's head back to the MKM Stadium to speak to Courtney Sweetman-Kirk about this. Interestingly, the point around EFL games being played abroad. I fully understand what Rick Parry is saying when it comes to fans and their lack of a desire to see their teams play elsewhere. I get it. But I wonder what the chair people are thinking, the boards are thinking, when you offer a team in League One or League Two hefty sums of money to possibly play a game somewhere like America, whether they'll suddenly change their tune. Will it come down to the pennies and pounds?
Yeah, I would imagine so, and we know that money makes the world go round, so I think it's one of those. It's difficult. It can be a slippery slope. We've seen it in the Premier League, and I suppose then there's a lot to think about managers getting involved, for example, because you see managers moaning about player welfare and things like that, but they're doing massive pre-season tours in all over the world. So yeah, it's a difficult one, but I do think at some point the money will just tip the balance, and we will potentially see it more in the future.
Let's talk about some of the games we've got ahead of us this weekend very, very quickly. Tomorrow lunchtime, live here on Talksport 2. Big game in the Championship. Leeds United taking on Burnley. Leeds began their campaign with 2 draws, an early exit from the EFL Cup. They found their stride with back-to-back wins. Burnley, the other way around, impressive start, 2 wins, faltered recently, winless in their last 3 outings. How do you see that match unfolding? Tough to call?
Yeah, you've heard it in my voice, Hugh. Very tough to call. I think it's the one that hopefully it lives up to the billing, and it's one that will be a great watch for the neutrals. But I'm going to sit with my bum on the fence. There'll be splinters in it. I'm not sure which way it's going.
We'll have Portsmouth West Brom 3 p.m. on Sunday here on Talksport 2. Birmingham City Wrexham 8 p.m. on Monday. But first up, Hull City 0, Sheffield United 1. The second half already underway with Courtney Sweetman-Kirk and Mike McCarthy.
And Tim Walters decided to make changes for Hull City, 2 of them. Liam Miller, the Canadian international, coming on for Abu Kamara, whose debut ends after 45 minutes. And then Ryan Giles at left back has been replaced by Cody Drame, the former Leeds United man. So Hull City lining up for this second half like this. Panda in goal, Coyle, Jones, McLaughlin and Drame across the back 4. Finley Burns holding midfield, a midfield 4 then of Miller, Irma, Malem and Balumi. And Bedia up front for Hull City this evening. Got to try and get a goal back. Sheffield United unchanged, so Cooper in goal for the Blades, Gilchrist, Suter, Akman Hodzic and Burrows across the back, Sousa and Arblaster in midfield with Raksaki, O'Hare and Harmer the goal scorer behind Kiefer Moore up front. And in terms of what those changes do to Hull City, we'll give it a couple of minutes to bed in and get Courtney Sweetman-Kirk's view on that. But it's Sheffield United with Harmer in possession, looking to get forward here. Arblaster using his body well to shield it away from the challenge of Irma, and then sliding in to try and keep hold of it. But it's been won back by Balumi, who gets possession on this right-hand side. Arblaster across to nip it out of play and make sure nothing developed for the home side there. Well, Tim Walter had to change something, really, because it wasn't going to work for Hull City the way things were going in that first half. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, what do you make of Liam Miller being introduced?
Yeah, I think it adds more of an attacking threat, which isn't a surprise when you need to get back in the game, and goals back in terms of obviously just looking at it now, the formation, that doesn't seem to change or be tweaked in any way so far. Very much like for like changes. It's just about, as you say, Liam Miller getting close. But for me, I thought Kamara, he was probably one of the best players on the pitch for me. So, different players. So maybe, that's it, rather than that more direct running that Kamara gives. Is it the fact that they want to get the the ball in the box more. I'm not sure.
Well, I wonder what the international break has done to each manager's thinking as well, because we saw Harry Souttar go around the world and start tonight, but the likes of Casey Palmer, who's been with Jamaica, still on the bench for Hull City, Liam Miller with Canada and beating the USA. Had a good week on the international break, did Canada, but Liam Miller didn't start as the ball swung in towards Rak-Saki by Gustavo Harmer, and it's the first touch for Cody Drame to head clear. As Hull City looking to clear their lines here. Still a goal down, 2 minutes inside this second half, as Sheffield United with Ahmed Hodzic at the back. But I just wonder whether there's just a different philosophy from two managers who've seen their players travel and maybe thought one wasn't ready and the other was.
Yeah, but that may be it, but it doesn't matter what your manager says to you. As a footballer, if you got taken off at half-time, you feel like that's because of your performance, and it doesn't matter what the manager says. It's one of those things that you never ever want. It's that you don't want to get taken off at half time, and you don't want to be subbed on and then be subbed off as a sub. So they're the two big ones. So it'd be a surprise for me if that was purely tactical, or in terms of if it is tactical, then you're expecting a complete change in shape or philosophy, which doesn't seem to be the way.
Hull City have it with their captain Coyle at right back. Still a few blue lines on the green surface here from the Rugby League. We'll be back with an update from Wigan Leeds a little bit later in this second half, as Hull City trying to build from the back once more. Coyle over halfway now to Balumi. The Algerian infield to Coyle, who's providing support. Vinny Souza with a challenge from behind, but he wins the ball legally. There's the referee. And Souza back to his goalkeeper, Peter Banks, the referee this evening, who's not had an awful lot to do. It's been a fairly quiet game for the officials so far. A few yellow cards handed out in that first half, though. A reminder, Arblaster and Harmer have been booked for the visitors, while there's been a yellow card for Finley Burns in the Hull City midfield. With Jones in possession, wearing blue boots this evening, near the centre circle. Well, the Hull City players use the international break to spend an awful lot of time together, not just on the pitch in terms of extra training sessions and stuff, but off it as well. But it's not paying off at the moment, as Kiefer Moore goes from range, putting the goalkeeper off his line. Went from a full 45 yards out there, Kiefer Moore, and was off target.
Yeah, wrong decision as well. Rak-Saki was making a very, very good run down the right-hand side in acres of space, and I'm sure Kiefer Moore will just be diverting his gaze away from him because he knows that wasn't the right decision.
1-0 it remains to the Blades. 5 minutes gone in this second half on Talksport 2. That's the voice of Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Mike McCarthy with you as well at the MKM Stadium. As Cody Drame has had a couple of appearances so far in his Hull City career. Lots of championship loans from Cardiff, Luton, Birmingham. And came in with the thought that he would provide maybe some competition for Coyle at right back, but he's starting on the left in this second half. And Giles, the man withdrawn, as Tim Volta changing the entire left-hand side of this Hull City team. Miller making a run, but he's watching the ball move past him at the moment, with Souza taking it off the toes of the Hull City man, but it's back with the feet of Miller now, who plays it in field. Drame now helping it on to Burns, corner of the penalty area. Miller onside, attacking into the box he goes. Gilchrist, well timed with the challenge, just stuck out a left boot, side of his boot, took it away from the feet of Miller, and Sheffield United clear. Good defending.
Yeah, it's good defending, although in terms of that shape again from Hull City when they attack, if Sheffield United get that ball better, they're in an opportunity to counter-attack again. But Drame coming on, it's been interesting the way that he's used the ball. He's certainly used it in a different way to Giles. The way that we'll get forward is also interchanging passes with the centre halves, coming across the opposite side of the pitch. That rotation that the manager was talking about from defence and going forward, I think that's what we're seeing. So I don't think that Giles was quite executing it the way that the manager wanted.
Once again, it's Hull building from the back. Here's Jones. Now Balumi, Algerian, who's got a great footballing background. His dad, Lekdar Balumi, one of the greatest African footballers of all time. It's lofted over the top, and Hull City nearly on the end of it through Bedia. Just a little of the space he found for himself. It's been difficult for him tonight to find opportunities, Bedia, but managed to get between the centre halves, and that ball been maybe just a touch off it when it was clipped over the top. He could have been in.
Yeah, he could have. And you see Suter and Hodzic, they just switch off. You see that it's almost, they see the ball go over their heads and then they think, right, we need to move now. We're in trouble. So, it happens to the best teams as well. There are moments where they switch off, where they're not completely concentrating, and that's where Hull City definitely need to take advantage.
Almost sliding a lovely ball through, but well anticipated by Harry Suter, who slides to clear for Sheffield United. Arblaster picking it up midway inside his own half, works it out to the left, and Harmer outside of the boot. A lovely ball forward for Burrows to chase. Coyle back there to cover, but then sends it back to his goalkeeper. Out of play. Sheffield United win themselves a cheap corner, and 53 minutes gone. The Blades looking to extend their 1-0 advantage from a set play.
Yeah, and again, that's Burrows. He doesn't give it up. He makes sure that he then, if he doesn't get the ball, he tries to press from the front straight away. Good numbers up Sheffield United, and yes, slightly fortunate, but that's because of their desire and hard work to press high up the pitch.
Well, Harmer will attempt the delivery. The Hull City fans are claiming the ball's outside the quadrant, so the referee, Peter Banks, will have to trot across to inspect whether it's overhanging the line, which it is. Ironic cheers, as I think the ball has been moved a nanometer, which has now been shifted back in an equal and opposite direction by Gustavo Hammer's hand, and we're ready to carry on with it. Swung in right-footed towards the 6-yard box, headed up but not away. Sheffield United still might get on the end of this.
Great save.
Souza with the effort. It's been well saved by Panda there, because he had to get down quickly to his right-hand side and turn it round the post. He would not have had time to see very much of that at all.
No, that's just pure reactions from the goalkeeper.
Vinny Souza almost on the score sheet, but it's another Sheffield United corner, taken short to O'Hare. Harmer gets it back now, drifts it in towards the back post, and just a little bit too much on it as it curls wide of that far post. And it remains Hull City 0, Sheffield United 1.
It's not a bad idea though, Hull City not quite alert to the short corner. You see what Harmer's trying to do there is playing the odds. He's just trying to find an area. Overhits it at the end, but it was a good idea because there were two Sheffield United players at that back stick free.
Well, Vinny Souza's only ever scored one goal for Sheffield United. Had been linked abroad in the transfer window. Fenerbahce among the clubs that were apparently interested in him, but he's stuck around, and Sheffield United fans certainly glad that he did so, because he's providing some excellent performances in that engine room for the visitors this evening, and indeed through the season. 55 gone.
I think that's when you've got someone like that as a forward player, you love it because you know you've got the licence to be dynamic, to roam, because you've got that safety in front of your defensive line.
Hull City with numbers on the left here, and the cross blocked by Vinny Souza, who was there near the corner of his own penalty area on the Sheffield United right to deny Hull City any space to move the ball in field, although it's been sent back towards Gilchrist. An awkward one for him to take down. Betty has stolen it from him, goes down under a challenge. There is no foul, and Sheffield United in their cream shirts can clear their lines. So question mark over that one. The fans asking more Courtney Sweetman-Kirk than the players were.
Yeah, more in hope than expectation for me. It's just Blaster being really clever with the way he uses his body, using his strength, that centre of gravity, and comes away with the ball.
Coyle into the penalty area, being urged to shoot, takes it towards the byline instead. He has support from Balumi, left-footed, now onto his right, clips it in towards the 6-yard box. Out comes Cooper and gets his arms there ahead of Harry Suter, who had to duck down to make sure his goalkeeper could claim it, or maybe the goalkeeper just forced him down. Either way, it's Sheffield United's goalkeeper who got his mitts on it, and the threat is abated.
I'm not sure why Coyle didn't shoot there. We've seen him this season already rifle one in the back of the net, gone close on a couple of occasions from range as well, so have a go there, try and really test the goalkeeper.
Yeah, that goal at Plymouth, goal of the month for Hull City. The only other goal was a penalty, but in fairness, it was a tidy finish from Louis Cole, so it wasn't an embarrassing one for the sponsors to say goal of the month for a tap-in. It was an excellent piece of play, and he's got that in his locker. But at the moment, Hull City still struggling to test Cooper in the Sheffield United goal. Suter sends it long. It's too high for Kiefer Moore, who's just gesturing back to his defence to maybe keep the ball down a little bit more. He'll work tirelessly, Kiefer Moore. He'll chase lost causes, but even that one was a little bit too much for him.
Yeah, he will, and it's frustrating when you're playing in that centre forward role and the balls up to you aren't good enough, because anywhere in and around him, he's so brilliant at bringing the ball down and being able to control it and bring others into play.
Hull City trying to drive through the middle. Ahmed Hodgic picks up the loose ball though, tries to feed it to O'Hare. It's easily cut out by the Hull City backline. And it is a pretty lousy home record that Hull City have. Just one win in their last 10 home league games, 7 of them drawn. They drew 9 home games last season. That was perhaps one of the things that did for Liam Rosenior, some of the home results, and certainly denied them a place in the playoffs, which they missed out on just barely. They're not looking like a playoff team at the moment, Hull City. There's Harmer on the left wing for Sheffield United, sends it on to Burrows near the edge of the penalty area, flashes in the cross, Coyle there to clear as it's bouncing in midfield and might come to Irma, who gets away from that first challenge. Vinny Souza there though to snap at his heels and put it out of play, deny the breakaway.
Yeah, Harmer doesn't look too comfortable. It's coming together, certainly wasn't a foul, but he doesn't look right at all, and I think he's gesturing over to the bench.
Yeah, he's just put his hand up as if to say, give me a minute while I work out if there's a problem here. And then he might try and run this off, Gustavo Harmer. The play continuing with Miller on the left for Hull City.
I think that's a bit of cramp, because I think that's a gel that is trying to get down him.
Well, he's trotting back into position at the moment, Gustavo Harmer, and throws that gel pack off the pitch. Miller, 5 yards from the touchline, lifts in the cross from the left. It's flicked on and onto the roof of the net, and it will be a Hull corner.
It came off the top of Suter's head, didn't it? And neither him nor Cooper were quite sure where that was going to land, and neither was I.
Approaching the hour mark, still Hull 0, Sheffield United 1, and Gustavo Harmer, scorer after 15 minutes, has gone down on the edge of the penalty area and now will need some treatment. The training staff are being called on, the medical staff here.
This is what we were speaking about, wasn't it, with Sheffield United, in terms of the key players making sure that by any means possible, and obviously a little bit of luck, that you try to keep them fit, and he's certainly one of the players that you want to keep as fit as possible, keep on the pitch.
Well, I saw the EFL Cup tie that they lost at Barnsley. He didn't start the game but came on in the last sort of 20-25 minutes ago. It had the impact of putting a grown man into an under-14s game. He was so dominant in the second half of that second half, if you will. He's such a talented player. But yeah, in terms of options to replace him, if you look at the Sheffield United bench, they may go to the likes of Brooks, perhaps. Maybe send Raksaki to the other flank, or Brooks could play on the left if indeed needed to do that. There are other forward options if Chris Wilder wants to shake it up, and in fact there are 3 substitutes getting ready here. We can see Rhian Brewster and we can see Sam McCallum, and there is one more.
I think it's Andre Brooks.
Yeah, it may well be Brooks who will come on for Harmer. So a triple change upcoming for Sheffield United, as Harmer looks like his evening is done, as we await the board to go up. So Gustavo Harmer is going to be replaced by Sam McCallum, and Harmer taking the applause of the Sheffield United fans, the thousands that have travelled, as he gingerly makes his way off the pitch. And when you've got key games to come, Derby, Portsmouth, Swansea, Luton, before the next international break, we wrap Gustavo Harmer up in cotton wool. Callum O'Hare is going to be replaced with Rhian Brewster set to come on. And then the final change, which is just being readied, as we mentioned, Andre Brooks sees Raksaki think away. So we'll see what that does to Sheffield United in just a moment, but it does seem fairly like for like. We'll get a better look at it after this set piece, which is a Hull corner, which is low towards the near post, and there are a few grumbles, but it's going to be Balumi to swing it back in. It's an awkward one, and Cooper has to tip it over his crossbar. He was backpedaling, had to stick up a paw and make sure, and he did so. Another Hull corner.
Yeah, and I think he was expecting the cross in the box. You see, he just starts to go towards his back post and gets swung in more towards the middle of the goal, and has to move very quickly, scramble back to his goal to make sure he pushes that one over.
Peter Banks just having a conversation with a couple in the middle. I think Ivan Hodgic involved in a bit of holding, and been the only offender, as it's again towards the near post and headed away by Sheffield United. The corner not effective. The second cross is away as well, and it's the home side who have to head out of play with Andre Brooks trying to get on the counter as well for the Blades here. And so that set piece comes to nothing, and all these Hull fans who've waited for some excitement will have to wait a little bit longer, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Yeah, and I'm just looking now how the Blades are looking after those changes, and you see Bruce has gone into the 10 role by the look of it. McCallum's come out on the left hand side, and on the right hand side it's Brooks.
It'll be interesting to see how McCallum gets on in a more advanced position ahead of Burrows, who goes to the deck, but it was a fair challenge on him as Coyle, steaming down this right hand side, gets away from Burrows. McCallum's there. Coyle lifts it into the box. Cooper climbing and getting there on the edge of his 6-yard box, claiming well under a bit of pressure, and the Sheffield United goalkeeper equal to it, and he is certainly enjoying his start to life, the former Plymouth goalkeeper. First clean sheet against Watford last time out. Chris Wilder described him as one of our major targets when they signed him, and there's a bit of comfort in that position now for Sheffield United. A bit, some real quality they've added there.
Yeah, that's important. One, obviously, for the quality on the pitch, but in terms of training day in, day out, and making sure that there's that competitiveness as well within the positions. Obviously, we've mentioned that can be added to, and I'm sure that's something they'll look to do in January as well.
Bellumi in the centre circle for Hull City, still trying to claw back this 1-goal deficit. Miller making a good run down the left hand side in towards the penalty area, tries a 1-2 and it's cut out. Denny Souza puts it behind. Another Hull City corner. Abdul Sherma heading across to send in an in-swinger, although many of these have been short as well. Not that the Hull fans have particularly enjoyed these short ones. There's a good 5 Hull players in the box waiting for a delivery. 2 more on the edge of it as it swung in towards the penalty spot. Jones was up there. Clearance more up than out from Sheffield United, but they have now managed to get away, and they could be on the break once more. Kiefer Moore trying to get there ahead of Miller, and he's got there and used his body brilliantly. Kiefer Moore down the left sends it in towards Brooks in the penalty area. Back heel, and McCallum. It's another brilliant Sheffield United counter-attack, and they double their advantage. Superb from the Blades, and that might be that. Hull City 2 down, and twice from their own corners Sheffield United have countered them. Sam McCallum's been on the pitch for barely a few minutes. He's on the score sheet for his first Sheffield United goal. Hull City 0, Sheffield United 2.
Well, what a big moment that is for him, and you see the Blades going over to the fans, except for Souza. He's sat down on the ground. I think he's struggling physically, but everyone else, and look at that, McCallum being pushed towards the fans to go and celebrate that goal, and that's what it means to them. But it's a wonderful counter-attack, and Kiefer Moore does so well, because this ball across is not the best. It's not in front of him. He almost has to bend his run, retrace his steps a little bit. As I mentioned, for all the things he's got, pace probably isn't the one that he's got in abundance, but what he does so well is uses his body to keep the ball alive, and then goes down that left-hand side. There's a little back heel, which is wonderful, and then McCallum, it's the only place he can put that ball, by the way, in that bottom right-hand corner. The keeper's got every other piece of that goal covered because of the angle. And what a blistering counter-attack yet again from Sheffield United.
It's brilliant from the Blades, who have a 2-goal advantage. And the way that this game has developed, it looks like a completely commanding lead. Hull City with a mountain to climb in the context of this match and their season, because right now they do not look like a side that can score twice, let alone once. McCallum again, trying to feed it out towards the right-hand side and Brooks, but that's been stolen by Drame. Here's Miller as Hull City look to address this deficit. Now Drame, edge of the area on the left-hand side, offside. And the flag went up straight away.
It's interesting that as well, because I know it's a little bit later, but you look at the parallels between both the goals, both counter-attacks, both when actually, for me, especially in this second half, Hull City were the team in the ascendancy, looking the more dangerous, controlling the game. It's good substitutions by Chris Wilder, and then on the counter-attack, when they're flooding bodies forward, Sheffield United take advantage.
Regan Slater's coming on for Finlay Burns, a double change coming here for Hull City, as Casey Palmer also comes into the midfield for his home debut. As the Blades here in a dominant position and heading higher up the championship table. It's a league table at the moment that is embryonic, but it has the Blades third right now as we look at it. A very, very pleasing start for Chris Wilder in the championship. Chris Wilder, who'd lost his last two visits as a manager at Hull, both Watford and Middlesbrough, but he's loved his trips here with the Blades. And plotting a way back for Hull City is looking increasingly difficult. Suter with a strong header from a high ball.
The problem is for Hull City as well, to get back into the game, they've got to be even more expansive than they already have, and when they do that, I see yet again it's a poor touch in the end from McCallum, but Sheffield United just exploiting the space that Hull City are leaving them.
Just confirmation that Casey Palmer coming on for Bellumi, so both the debutants now have been withdrawn by Tim Volter. With 21 minutes remaining and Hull City 2 down, and these Hull fans who have not seen their side perform particularly well at home for a long time are looking down the barrel at another defeat. Palmer, lovely crossfield ball towards Miller from right to left, pinged it beautifully. Here's Miller, he's back in towards Drame. Now Sheffield United just settling back into a low block as Coyle tries to feed it through. So many cream shirts in the way that there's just no way through at the moment for Hull City. Regan Slater on the ball, the former Blade, a boyhood Blade, now in a Hull City shirt. Drame out towards Miller on the left-hand side again, trying to take on 1 and 2, but decides instead to go back to Slater. Now Drame's got space for the cross. It's blocked, half-blocked, and then cleared more fully by Sheffield United, and Brewster thinking about launching a counter-attack. He's just overhit that, and Brooks valiantly trying to close it down, but it is a lost cause for the Sheffield United man, and Hull City in comfortable possession. But once again, a cross cut out, and the break is on straight away, Courtney Sweetman-Coe.
Yeah, and it's definitely that balance in attack is the biggest thing for me that Hull City need to work on, because when they're going forward, it seems like almost every time they attack, it leads to a positive counter-attack for Sheffield United, and obviously teams do their analysis, so it's what every team will do now against Hull City. They'll be happy to sit in, they'll defend and play the odds on the counter-attack, because it's so easy. The overload that Sheffield United are quite easily able to create is worrying.
Well, let's check in on the Super League action. Wigan the leaders at home to Leeds. Craig Murdoch.
Yeah, further tries for Wigan in the second half through Cade Ellis and Abis Miski, both of them converted by Adam Kieran. It's been a masterclass from the champions so far. The points are staying here in Wigan. It's Wigan 26, Leeds 0.
Craig, thank you. Hull 0, Sheffield United 2. We've played 71 minutes on Talksport 2. Hull trying to find a way back, but finding every avenue available to them blocked by a cream shirt at the moment, as Irma just sends it back to Regan Slater. They're in the corner of the Sheffield United penalty area on the right. Casey Palmer providing support, trying to feed it through towards Irma, but that was read by the Sheffield United defence, and Kiefer Moore now can bring it away. And the arms go up from Tim Volter because he knew there was a counter on. There still might be. He's shrugging his shoulders, going back away from the edge of his technical area. Sheffield United moving forward. Vinny Souza, and the wavelengths were just different there between Brewster and Vinny Souza. Sousa expected Brewster to make the run in behind. He didn't. He made the run for the short pass instead, and that breaks down for Sheffield United.
Yeah, but again, it's worrying the way that Andre Brooks as well, with his run, is able to manipulate that back line. They're all over the shop for Hull City, and that's why it's so easy then for Vinny Sousa to just keep going and parading forward with the ball with no pressure.
Palmer now to Coyle on the right here with a chance to cross, whipped into the box. The header off the underside of the bar. Did it cross the line? No. But Miller might have a go, and just wide, and that is the closest that Hull City have gone. Oh, bullet header. Cooper could do nothing. Could just wave at it as it went past him off the underside of the crossbar, down, but not, crucially, over the line.
I tell you what, I'm just watching Ahmed Hodzic because he is giving McCallum a piece of his mind. He is not happy the way that McCallum defended that, or lack of defending the cross rather. There's an argument now happening as well, I think, with the coaching staff, and McCallum's, I think, trying to argue, is that my player? But either way, it's a wonderful ball in, absolutely exquisite. You're expecting for all the world for that to go in the back of the net, but the crossbar comes to the aid of the Blades, and by far Hull City's best chance of the game.
Well, maybe the game's not quite dead yet. Certainly if Sheffield United get casual, then they will find themselves with a battle on their hands in the final 17 minutes of this Yorkshire derby. Brooks sweeps it out towards the Sheffield United left, and McCallum in a crossing position sends a deep one towards the back post. And Kiefer Moore, who can't get that under control, puts his arm up in acknowledgement of the ball in. But Hull City will try and move this and get it moving quickly with Coyle at right back, the Hull City captain.
It's interesting as well. You see now, and this is what happened against Watford. McCallum, as you say, normally more defensive, and that's what him and Harrison Burrows will do when they're both on that left-hand side. They're willing to change when Burrows goes forward. McCallum will sit in, and I know that normally happens within football, but they certainly will do that for longer periods of time than is usual.
Brooks with a sliding challenge. That's a little bit late from the Sheffield United man, and you may see another yellow card coming out. And indeed it does. And the 21-year-old, the latest to go into Peter Banks' book. Just a little bit mistimed. Nothing malicious about it, but in this day and age, it's not a challenge you can get away with.
Certainly not.
Some of the Hull fans have decided in front of us that perhaps it might be time to go home. But there are plenty have stayed. Maybe woodwork being rattled might just encourage a few more that this is not quite a lost cause for the home side yet. But they need to find a way back soon. 15 minutes to play. Drame. And that's Gilchrist who makes the challenge and puts it out of play for a Hull throw, left wing, level with the edge of the penalty area.
I think Drame's done well since he's come on. He's certainly looked more of a threat than Giles did down that left-hand side. He's going wide, he's cutting in, he's adding a body to the midfield, so he's certainly showing something a bit different.
Casey Palmer clipping it down the right for Coyle, keeps it in play on this near side touchline. Palmer now crossing opportunity in deep towards the back post, takes a bounce, and then Bedia can't get hold of the header. Sousa was back there, and I think Bedia thought that Sousa would get a touch, and he didn't.
He took the words out of my mouth there, Mike. And the thing is, if you gamble there and you think best case scenario and you're expecting Sousa to miss that, it's an easy chance. But by the time that he realises that Sousa's missed the ball, he's then got to make the movement, and it's the way that the ball skips off the turf. There's no way that Bedia can get to it and be able to fashion that to be on target, and it's a shame because if he gambles there, I think he's got a tap in.
Kiefer Moore just sidestep there by Jones, who runs out of room, but that's because McCallum made the challenge near halfway, and it'll be a Hull City throw. Hull 0, Sheffield United 2. Live on Talksport 2, plenty more to come across the Talksport network this weekend, starting 12:30 tomorrow. Southampton, Manchester United in the Premier League. That is a Talksport exclusive. At the same time, Leeds, Burnley in the Championship. The two sides that Courtney Sweetman-Kirk could not separate at half-time, and I don't think there's too many that would safely put their money anywhere on that outcome of tomorrow. So do be with us for that as Bedia tries to get into the penalty area, sliding challenge, and Bedia took the last touch according to the officials. It'll be a goal kick. He pleadingly looks to the assistant referee, but he's not going to get anything, Bedia.
And I think it's just a really well-timed challenge by Ahmed Hodzic, and you can see it does come back off Bedia, and I love that as well. Harrison Burrows going straight over to his defender, and I love it when defenders almost celebrate like it's a goal. They take pride in what they do, take pride in trying to keep that clean sheet.
Well, that will matter very much to Michael Cooper in the Sheffield United goal now with 13 minutes to play. And a 2-goal lead for Sheffield United as he goes long towards Kiefer Moore, who wins the header. Brooks will try and keep it in play. It just drifted out on that far side, the whole left. So it will be the home side who have a throw 10 yards inside their own half. Well, plenty of thinking for Tim Volter to do as he tries to make something of this Hull City side, who at the moment a lot of questions will be asked about why changes were made and why the direction went differently. But maybe things will happen here with Miller into the box, taking the shot on, and another celebration from Gilchrist this time as he gets the block in. Again, celebrating it like a goal. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. It was a roar from him.
I love it, rightly so. I mean, never for me. I was never that close to that end of the pitch, thankfully. Thankfully for everyone involved. I think I certainly would have been more of a hindrance than a help. But as I say, it's about taking pride in what you do, and it's important. And you know, the goalkeepers, the defensive line, they thrive off those clean sheets.
Kiefer Moore on halfway. The ball was on towards Brooks, but the switch of play didn't happen. Kiefer Moore acknowledging that that's exactly what he was trying to do, but could not execute it. And Hull City have got away with another counter-attack opportunity that Sheffield United can't make the most of. Here's Palmer, right wing for Hull City. He substitutes, sending it into Irma, takes it down on his chest, goes wide towards Miller on the far side, the left. Miller clipping it in towards Bedia, trying to get his head to it. Ahmed Hodzic got there first, glances it behind. Hull City corner, 11 minutes to go. Still Hull trailing here by 2-0 on Talksport 2.
Yeah, and they're putting the pressure on, and where Sheffield United were quite happy to accept the pressure and play on the counter-attack, now it's certainly looking a bit more precarious, and Hull City looking more dangerous.
Irma will swing this in left-footed towards the near post. There's a bit of a scramble there as a few bodies get in the way of it. Overhead kick from Sam McCallum to clear. And Hull City win it back, and they have it on the right with Irma. 2 bodies around him, and then there's a foul by Irma, which, well, Vinny Soon is allowed to play on, and he's giving it away to Slater. Slater now looking to counter for Hull themselves. Palmer, Slater again, into the box now, and across comes Arblaster to smash the ball behind. Another Hull City corner.
Well, Sousa, I think he's half raging with himself, and half of it as well, the fact that he's wanting Brewster to be a bit more aware, come to the ball, get himself in front of the defender there.
Well, just having a look, just in terms of efforts that we've seen, we have seen more for Hull tonight. That's what the numbers tell us, not necessarily quality chances. As the corner is headed away at the near post, it'll be another one for Irma to send in. An 11th corner this evening, and I can't really remember Hull City doing very much with them, apart from the 2 goals that Sheffield United scored directly at the other end from set pieces for Hull. Can they do something here and set up a bit of a grandstand finish? Irma into the middle. Again, it's not past the first man. He'll have another go, though, the Turk, and then it's headed away once more by Sheffield United. It has not beaten the first defender. And a sliding challenge coming in by Gilchrist on Irma. That was an ugly challenge, and I think Gilchrist is going to be going into the book. The yellow card is already out from the referee, and the on-loan Chelsea man is the latest Sheffield United player who is going to have his name taken.
There's no need as well. He does so well. He blocks the first ball in, then in the second phase again gets the second ball, and then all he needs to do is just stand his ground. Hull City player is facing backwards, so you don't need to dive in there, just shepherd him away and start again, but just a rush of blood to the head.
Well, he's hurt himself a bit, hasn't he, as well? So Femi Sariki might be coming on in just a few moments. I don't think they're going to be able to complete that change before the free kick's taken. So Gilchrist has picked himself up to defend this on the edge of his own penalty area. Free kick, right wing for Hull. Irma standing over it will provide the in-swinger if it's him. The outswinger would come from Coyle. 8 minutes of the 90 remain. Hull 0, Sheffield United 2. And the Blades causing themselves a little bit of problems unnecessarily here. And Hull City with a set-piece opportunity to maybe cause some damage. Referee has got the wall set. There's a two-man Sheffield United wall just to prevent anything cheeky towards the near post. But there's basically everyone apart from the goalkeeper Panda near the Sheffield United penalty area here. Coyle lifts it in. It might drop at the back post for Bedia, and again he wasn't really expecting it. And it's going to be a goal kick as it just hits the Hull City man and goes behind. And the substitution for Sheffield United can now take place. And Gilchrist is coming off. And as expected, it's going to be Femi Sariki to replace him at right back.
Well, it's another really good ball actually from Hull City. Causes a bit of chaos in the box, and see Ollie Arblaster there actually just saying everyone just needs to calm down a little bit. But that's what Hull City have done in this last 5 or so minutes. They've really piled the pressure on, but still they've got nothing to show for it.
Well, we mentioned this earlier. Chris Wilder liked the fire that he saw at the end of the Watford game, but there's got to be control there too, and he's recognised that in his press conference as well. They have to get the balance right, and Gilchrist there did not do that quite so well.
Yeah, just don't know why he dives into the challenge the way he does there. After making 2 very good blocks, it's just about standing your ground and getting good shape, letting your teammates get up from defending the corner in the second phase, and just dives in for what reason, I'm not sure.
Well, it's the Sheffield United fans in full voice, edging ever closer to victory. 6.5 minutes to play on Talksport 2. Hull 0, Sheffield United 2. The home side have it near halfway, and Jones. McLaughlin in the centre circle here. Tries to lift it out towards Miller, who's been an outlet so many times in this second half. The Canadian international trying to take on Sariki, who's just come on. Miller sending it in. Arblaster across. Heads behind. Hull City's 18th corner of the game.
It's interesting this, because you think about the opportunities that Hull City have had. Not necessarily lots of quality, but you mentioned it, didn't we? The lack of goal scorers at the club at the moment, and probably thinking if there was an out-and-out goal scorer on the pitch, they might have one.
Miller's corner in towards the near post. Kiefer Moore to head towards the edge of the area. Andre Brooks gets a touch and then will chase it himself towards the halfway line. Cody Drame back there for Hull City and knocks it back to his goalkeeper. In terms of goals lacking, no Philogene, no Tufan, both in double figures last season for Hull.
Delap as well.
Yeah, they've really got to find a way of replacing those goals, and at the moment Bedia, who's coming on loan from Union Berlin, yet to score in 3. This is his 3rd appearance, and he's had opportunities where the ball's come into him in a flash and not been able to react to it. Clear-cut opportunities perhaps lacking for him tonight.
Yeah, he's not had that, but as I say, I think when you have a goal scorer on the pitch, they take those chances, they gamble on every single ball, so those half chances, you do get goals from them, and I just think there is that little bit of instinct, that intuition lacking in that forward line for Hull City, and we know it is, and it's a very young side as well. It's got a lot to learn.
McLaughlin into Palmer, who just tried to flick it into the run of Marvin Mellon, but it's easily gathered by Cooper, who goes to the ground, gobbles up a few precious seconds for Sheffield United, who can take their time, run down the clock, and indeed that move breaking down was the cue for many Hull City fans to decide to make their way to the exits. They've seen enough, as their side at the moment heading towards a 3rd game in a row where they've failed to score. Drame knocking it up into the air inside his own half. It's headed forward by Sariki and headed back to his goalkeeper by McLaughlin. Hull City with time running short. Coyle. Jones helping it through the centre circle to McLaughlin, and now Miller, who's being allowed plenty of space, and now Sariki comes to engage it. Miller towards the penalty area. Has 2 for company now. Puts it back for Slater, whose ball back to Drame was too short, and Vinny Souza claims it for Sheffield United, and then he's just exhausted. He puts his hands on his knees.
You can tell he's just absolutely running on empty.
There's a few Sheffield United players who might be running on vapour at the moment, but Vinny Souza is the one who is certainly looking like the tiredest of them all. Hull City on the attack once more though. Irma up against McCallum, scorer of the second. He gets the block in, doing what he needs to there in a Sheffield United shirt defensively.
See Chris Wilder as well on the edge of his technical box, shepherding his team to try and get higher up the pitch, because they're inviting a little bit too much pressure for his liking, I think.
Shackleton's going to come on in a minute. He's being readied. But the ball coming into the penalty area hits an arm of a Hull City man, but it would have been accidental, I think, although maybe the free kick's been given, actually, for a challenge later on. There will now be the Sheffield United change. Kiefer Moore is another who has run himself into the ground this evening, and he broke in briefly to a jog and then thought better of it as he went through the centre circle as he heads towards Jamie Shackleton, who will replace him. And there'll be a bit of a reshuffle in the Sheffield United ranks with 2.5 minutes to play, and Chris Wilder's side 2 goals to the good.
Yeah, and this is just about game management now, isn't it? Making sure that you don't concede, you don't make it difficult for yourself. It's maybe Shackleton looks like he's going over to the right hand side, whether that's to have a conversation or is he pushing.
Do you send Brooks a bit further on, or Brewster?
Like Brewster's saying out wide, isn't he?
Well, at the moment it's defensive shape that's more important for Sheffield United than going forward perhaps, and a bit of energy needed for these last few moments. Goals from McCullum and Harmer in the first half, McCullum in the second, both from Sheffield United breaks. Great counter-attacks. Should give credit as well for Kiefer Moore's involvement in that second goal in particular. The strength that he showed as well was so crucial to the move. And here's Regan Slater, 25 yards from goal, goes square to Casey Palmer, who does the same but just to the left instead, as Hull City with McLaughlin trying to find an avenue, a way through this Sheffield United defence, and they are finding few. Regan Slater under pressure from Brooks, so just shifts it towards Casey Palmer. Still the play on the left-hand side for Hull City. Slater once more. Vinny Souza coming out to engage and then dropping back as the ball's sent towards the left flank once more. Casey Palmer in towards the edge of the penalty area. Malem losing out though, and just as soon as he got to the penalty area it was snuffed out, and the counter-attack could be on for Sheffield United once more. It's been sent forward, and Burrows getting away from one man, going for goal himself, deflected. And in the end, Panda was behind it, but only just. That could have been 3, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Yeah, it really could have. Andre Bucks isn't happy as well. I think he wanted the ball into him.
Well, we're heading towards full-time here, but it is full-time in Super League. Wigan leads. Craig Murdoch.
Yeah, final score here at Wigan leads 38-0 to the champions. A very professional performance, a masterclass from Bevan French. He scored 2 tries, 24 unanswered points in the second half. Brilliant from the champions. Their win, 38-0.
Craig, thank you. 10 seconds of regulation plus whatever Peter Banks wants to add on here on Talksport 2. Hull 0, Sheffield United 2. It has been comprehensive from Sheffield United, who have been rarely threatened in either half. 5 additional minutes for Hull City to try and find what would be a miracle at this stage. They've got defending to do instead as Burrows has snatched it. Vinny Souza out towards the left, urging calm the Sheffield United midfielder as Brooks just plays it back in field to him. They were thinking about trying to play it into the box, and Vinny Souza has just said, absolutely not.
I think that's more to save his legs more than anything.
Well, it's back in Hull possession as the ball went high towards Burrows, but he couldn't claim it in the air. His Coyle with the Sheffield United fans, not many of them have left. They are enjoying another night out in Hull because they enjoyed what would be, if this stays the way it is, a 4th straight league win here. Coyle with a throw midway inside the Sheffield United half. One of the added 5 played. A reminder, Leeds Burnley in the Championship tomorrow at 12:30 on Talksport 2. Plenty of EFL action to come across the weekend. 3 o'clock for Portsmouth West Brom on Sunday from the Championship. That is a Talksport 2 exclusive, as is Monday night, Birmingham Wrexham in League One. That is a huge game towards the top of the table, with Wrexham going brilliantly so far. Birmingham spending big to make sure they try and get out of the division as well, and plenty more to come through the week as well on the TalkSport network. The Champions League is back next week, Carabao Cup commentary to come as well, and next Friday night, this time next week, the WSL is back.
It is.
Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, you're going to be there for Chelsea, the defending champions, a new look Chelsea with a new head coach.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, Emma Hayes has set some fantastic foundations, but Bon Pastor, a serial winner herself as a manager and as a player, and the big one they want is the Champions League, but WSL to start with.
Could be absolutely fascinating the way that develops. Always close the title race in the WSL. We've got 3 minutes remaining. And Sheffield United just clearing their lines from a goal kick from Cooper. Shakes his head a little bit because it's gone straight into the midriff of Cody Drame, and Miller on the left flank here sends it in towards Malem. He made a nice run into the box. Harry Suter across to cover. And the on-loan Leicester man is making quite a few friends at Sheffield United with his defending, but there will be a corner on the far side though. It had gone out before Suter could clear completely, it seems. So another chance for Hull to lift this in. Miller to take it into the near post. How many times have we said this? Doesn't beat the first man. In that case it was Arblaster. Straight away cleared for Sheffield United. Hull back with it. Miller gets it from Drame and then tries to link up towards the byline. He makes the run, and it's a sliding challenge to put it behind for another corner.
Yeah, but you'd imagine that the lack of quality that from these corners doesn't seem like much of an advantage at the moment for Hull City.
It's a long list of what you might call work-ons for this game for Hull, as Cooper comes to claim that corner under no pressure in his 6-yard box. It was just so easy for him.
I love the fact that Andre Brooks has got on his bike like Cooper is ever going to play that ball to him, ticking into the 95th
He's just
minute.
keeping the defence honest, isn't he?
Youthful, exuberant. No, he wants a goal, believe you me. He wanted that ball.
Well, it wasn't going to come to him. It's now booted downfield by Cooper. And McCallum can't keep it in play. It goes out midway inside the Hull half, while Hull heading to back-to-back defeats, back-to-back 2-0 defeats as it stands. Leeds got the better of them before the international break after they'd drawn their opening 3 games. Sheffield United are going to get the victory here with a fistful of seconds left in this game on Talksport 2. Miller, though, trying to find a consolation. Drame near the corner of the box on the left. Chips it towards the penalty spot. There's a heavy touch in there, and then a sliding challenge which came in from Brooks. Got enough of the action there for the referees to be satisfied with it. No real complaints, and this game just drifting towards its conclusion now, with Sheffield United buoyant, their fans on the far side, with a win before the international break and what is going to be victory after it as well. They are making excellent progress at the start of this season, the Blades under Chris Wilder, and they have been thoroughly convincing. And there's the full-time whistle. Well, listen to that from the home fans. They are not happy. Hull City thoroughly, comprehensively beaten here by Sheffield United, who controlled the match. 2 goals with counter-attacks. Gustavo Harmer in the first half on 15 minutes, finishing a lightning break, in which Callum O'Hare was involved to a large extent, but it was Harmer with the finish that was taken superbly. Low into the bottom corner past Panda, and then in the second half another break. Kiefer Moore instrumental in it, winning the ball inside the Hull City half, driving forward a lovely back heel from Brooks into the path of another substitute, Sam McCallum, for his first ever Sheffield United goal. And from there was no way back for Hull. In truth, they barely threatened. Cooper with some saves that look spectacular, but in truth you would have expected him to make them. And the Hull City manager, Tim Walter, has plenty of thinking to do. Chris Wilder has plenty to be pleased with from that. It's ended Hull City 0, Sheffield United 2.
So Sheffield United move up to third, 9 points on the table after their 2-point deduction. Remember, they've had 3 wins, 2 draws from their opening 5 championship games. Derby County are the visitors to Bramall Lane next weekend. Hull City stay 19th. They've got 3 points from their 5 games. The wait for a first win of the season goes on. They will head to Stoke City live on Talksport 2 next Friday night. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, deserved win for Sheffield United?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look at the 2 goals, in terms of counter-attacking and the work that you do all week on the training ground, that's exactly how you practice it in terms of going forward quickly, slick with your passing, precise, and then hitting the target. And I think all in all, they defended really well. Sheffield United put the ball in the back of the net at the other end, and that's all you can ask for. Another gritty performance in parts as well, but it was definitely slightly easier than the one against Watford. It wasn't quite the seat of your pants stuff that we saw against Watford, but still, I will say at times Hull City made it a little bit difficult. Obviously, hitting the woodwork, especially in the second half. They looked a lot better with those changes down the left-hand side, but still not enough for me to really trouble this Blade side.
The difficulty to accept for Hull City is probably going to be that both goals came from very similar situations. Sam McCallum getting his first Sheffield United goal in the second half. Another counter-attack off the back of a Hull City corner.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's one thing to concede it, and actually you could see that coming even in the first goal. It was happening, but then the fact that you concede not necessarily a carbon copy in terms of the goal itself, but another counter-attack, and that's where, as much as you can as a manager try and implement what you want, the players need to take responsibility and learn on the pitch as well. And it happened time after time, even after the second goal, and maybe we can argue that's a little bit different because at that point you do have to throw caution to the wind and get bodies forward, but certainly that lack of balance on the transition is a real problem for Hull City, and every team that plays against them from now on will try and exploit that.
How big a problem do you think Tim Volter has at Hull City now?
It's got a big problem because the fans aren't happy. They came out in their droves from after the second goal. There were a few boos as well at the full-time whistle, moans and groans, and the fans certainly aren't happy. And I always say we've got to give managers time, and I get that because I've been involved in football and it's difficult, but equally you can't really see Hull City at the moment what they're trying to achieve, and I think that's what worries fans. And you heard the journalist on before the game as well saying a very similar thing in terms of what are we trying to achieve, where are the glimmers of hope, and you probably don't see that a lot of the minute, and that's where fans get worried. If you can see a philosophy, a style of play, and something that you can sort of cling on to, then you try and do that. But from what I've seen today, that there's not a lot for the fans to cling on to.
Back to the drawing board and needing a solution very quickly indeed. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, Mike McCarthy, thank you very much for your commentary this evening. Chris Wilder and his players have just been celebrating down in the corner with the Sheffield United fans, soaking up every moment. Sheffield United fans, Gustavo Harmer was in there. He went off injured in the second half. He's got socks and sliders on, and he's got a big smile on his face, so it looks like it wasn't as bad as it first looked for him. He'll be an important player throughout the campaign. So that is it for this evening. Sheffield United up to third. Remember, the Sports Bar Weekend are about to get underway over on Talksport with Majestic and Carlton Cole. You can get your calls in and discuss what you've seen, Hull fans, what you've seen, Sheffield United fans, in tonight's game. Give them a call on 03717 223344, and you can also send a voice note via WhatsApp to the same number to get in touch. We'll have Premier League All Access up next with Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto as they look ahead to a very big weekend which starts live tomorrow afternoon with Southampton hosting Manchester United at 12:30. Remember, it's Leeds versus Burnley here at 12:30 on Talksport 2. Big games to come throughout the weekend. We'll also have a game on Sunday afternoon, between Portsmouth and West Brom before Birmingham against Wrexham in League One on Monday night. Of course, EFL All Access with you from 6 p.m. on Monday as well. The nightmare continues for Hull City on Friday the 13th. Gustavo Harmer, Sam McCallum with the goals. The Tigers booed off at the end of both halves. The question is, can Tim Volter survive? It's finished Hull City 0, Sheffield United 2.